I'm going to call our February 10th regular meeting of the Board of Supervisors to order. And to start out, I just wanted to say happy birthday to two of our supervisors this week, Supervisor Peiske and Supervisor Owen. Both have birthdays this week, so happy birthday. With that, do we have any moments of silence? We have one here.
So I have a bit of an awkward one. It's not awkward, just I guess I'm being awkward about it. I only knew him as Vinny. Many folks who lived in the Clear Lake area and maybe also Clear Lake Oaks area knew who Vinny was. Vinny had a young son and unfortunately passed away. I believe he was in District 4 at the time. I know that I guess the awkwardness for me is I've seen Vinny struggle, and sometimes there's moments where we feel we fail to maybe reach out at the right time to maybe offer some help. And so I want to hit hard. I went to school with him over at Yuba College. I know a lot of folks were expressing that that's where they knew him from. He was a musician. He was a great musician. I know he played in some of the events that I put together for the city of Clear Lake. Vinny made an impact on the community, made an impact on a lot of people, and unfortunately succumbed to his struggles.
Thank you. Supervisor Peiske?
So this last week we learned that Brad Belden passed away. He was a longtime science teacher at Middletown High School. He was a coach, he was a referee. He was so many things to all of us. Myself and Sheriff Bingham had the pleasure of being in his classrooms with his tie-dye lab coat. But one of our alumni friends wrote this, and so I'm going to read it because I think it's just so perfect for Brad. To our Middletown High School family, today our hearts are heavy. We lost an amazing teacher, an incredible friend, and a truly beautiful soul, Brad Belden. Brad Belden wasn't just someone who taught lessons from a classroom. He taught us about life, about kindness, about curiosity, and about being authentically who we are. He had a way of connecting with people, of finding those teachable moments and making everyone feel seen. His smile, his energy, and his thoughtful spirit left a lasting mark on so many of us. He was kind, he was fun, he was full of light. Brad cared deeply about life and about the people around him. He helped shape who we are today, and his impact will live on through every student whose path he touched. To his family and loved ones, we send our deepest condolences and all of our love. Brad, you will always be a part of the Middletown family. You will be missed more than words can express. Fly high and smile upon us, and thank you for everything. And so Brad was my across-the-street neighbor, both before the fire and after the fire, and he and his wife, Suzanne, were one of the first to rebuild their homes in our neighborhood. And it really took strength to go through that process. And then they moved up to Oregon to go on some new adventures, and then came back down to Sacramento. So yesterday his family stopped by the house and I got to see them and visit with them. Just really a wonderful family, a loving husband, father, and teacher, and part of our community.
Thank you. Any others? Thank you. Supervisor Crandall, would you lead us in the pledge?
Yes. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Do we have any extra items?
Chair, we have no extra items.
Thank you. We'll move on to the approval of the consent agenda. I am aware that 5.14 needs to be pulled. Do any supervisors have any other items to pull? Not hearing any members of the public wish to pull any items off the consent agenda today? Nothing in the room, no hands online. Be ready for, did you have something?
Oh, no, I had the wrong agenda. I picked them up there.
Okay,
I have it on.
okay. So I think we're ready for action.
Mr. Chair, move to approve the consent agenda with the exception of 5.14.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That motion carries 5-0. Next, we're going to move on to our timed items. And we're going to start with public input, our 902 item. And do we have anyone in the room who wishes to make public comment today? So yes, you'll be able to please come forward to the microphone right here. You'll need to state your name for the record, and then you'll have 3 minutes for comment.
Hello. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
My name is Laura Lashley, and I live at Sterling Shore Estates Mobile Home Park. I am proud of our votes to help elect this Board of Supervisors because of the hard work you do, and especially because of the challenges you have taken on in your efforts to create a rent stabilization ordinance to protect low-income families, disabled, and seniors like me living in mobile home parks. And I know that you all don't want to make hasty decisions. You rightfully want to get all the information you can to make sure your ordinance is a good one. But in this case, during the time you need to get all the information, you leave us park residents in the vulnerable position of being exploited in the interim. This is evident by the outrageous monthly pass-through fees my park owner is trying to force us to pay for the next 10 years on top of the already too high rent increases. We need your protection while you take the time you need to develop a strong ordinance. By subjecting us to this high monthly pass-through fee, after you appointed an ad hoc committee, my park owner is proving how ruthless they can be. And these are for expenses they have already paid out of the rent they collected from us. Any park owner can do this at any time, now that they feel threatened by having their greed controlled through an ordinance. Do what other communities like Fortuna, Camarillo, and Sonoma counties have had to do and enact a temporary moratorium while you take the time you need to create a good, strong rent stabilization ordinance. Please put this issue on the next meeting agenda for a vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead and come forward, please. And again, state your name for the record. You'll have 3 minutes.
Hi, my name is Maya Lynn, and I live in Sterling Shores Mobile Home Park, which is owned by a nonprofit called Caritas Corporation, whose mission is to unite people with a purpose to preserve affordable communities that uplift and empower our residents. We build communities, they say. Yet, on New Year's Eve, we received a hand-delivered letter from Caritas stating that they were charging us with pass-through fees of approximately $450,000 for pass-through capital expenses. They didn't even wish us a Happy New Year in that letter. And the CEO that signed this letter makes $300,000 a year. The letter states that my monthly fees will be increased by approximately 7% starting March 1st, the imminency of this gathering. That's on top of our rent increase already of 6% in 2023, 4.5% in 2024, and 5% in 2025, and there will be another increase for 2026, as that has been the history. As we know, there is no cap on what they can do. People living in parks in Lake County are 100% vulnerable to these greedy corporations and mom and pop mobile home park owners. They know we can't hook our little mobile home up and drag it down the road. We can only pay and pay and pay whatever they want. And now, as Laura stated, that they are aware of the ad hoc committee, they have begun their pass-through fees. We feel like we're more under attack. And we have only you, the people we've represented, have chosen to represent us, to defend us, to help us. You're the only ones with the power that can stop the pass-through fees right now. We ask you to do the right thing. Every one of you have mobile homes in your districts. You all have people who can't be here because they just had hip replacement surgeries. They're 90-year-olds and or some are even working. I have 75-year-old neighbors that get up and drive to work because they can't afford the place where we live right now anyway because of all their increases. Please pass a moratorium before March 1st on rent increases and pass-through fees. Then take the time, but stop the moratorium. Begin a moratorium, stop the pass-through fees. Help us. We're counting on you. You're the only ones that can help us here. Oh, and if you refer to the last paragraph in this letter that they gave us, it says that Caritas will always continue to operate within its regulatory agreement and in accordance with the law and the city of Lakeport. They know until you pass something, they can do whatever they want, and they're showing it. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's perfectly timed.
Do we have anyone else in the room? And again, state your name for the record, please.
Hi, good morning. I'm Steve Zerker, and I live at Sterling Shores Estates. Most everything's been covered that Maya shared. I just wanted to put, this is my own words, so same things. We live in a mobile home park and we're captive. Basically, we purchase these manufactured homes. It just seems to me when you rent an apartment and there's a wire that breaks in the wall, the landlord pays for the repairs. Yet here we are, we're stuck because we bought these mobile homes and they're passing through these repairs on their property. I paid for some rotted wood on their property for about $20,000. Like, it's just really going to continue going on. The manufactured homeowners in this senior park have a difficult time with their fixed incomes already. Their pass-through costs make it much more difficult for them to plan for their housing costs. And so this moratorium would help us this time. It's set to go into action really soon. So it's going to hurt a lot of people unless we can take action. I'd appreciate it if you consider. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have anyone else in the room? And if you could state your name for the record, please.
I'm Richard Schmidt. I live in Sterling Shores Estates up on Robin Hill in Lakeport. I'm going to do you all a big favor, make this real short. I believe a moratorium is in order. I go along with pretty much what everybody else said, and you guys have gone over a lot of this already. We need your help with this. Thank you for considering our plea for a temporary moratorium. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Cynthia Sims. I'm a resident of Sterling Shores Mobile Home Park in North Lakeport. Keep thinking of changing the name from Sterling to something like aluminum. We're here to give you information on why it's important for the board to enact a fee increase moratorium as soon as possible. We were stunned when we received a letter demanding a $60 increase in fees in our rent after having received a rent increase in November. And we'll have to pay for 10 years. And shocked to find we had no way to protect ourselves from even more if the owners decide they need more. My husband and I live on Social Security, period. We don't have stocks, bonds, property, or family to help. We have a mortgage. We both have medical bills for health issues. We have eyeglasses, hearing aids, everything costs. Oxygen. We're lucky enough to have good insurance to help with these costs and the assorted medications that come with being not very healthy 80-year-olds. But that insurance comes at a cost. We, along with Sterling Shores, are nonprofit. We have nothing left before our payday on the 3rd, and certainly not for another rent increase after the one we received 3 months ago, and every year for the last 3 years. I realize Sterling Shores isn't the only park Caritas owns, but we don't even see much being done to maintain our park. We would have trouble selling our place with the way it looks and the history of yearly rent increases. And all of that affects our resale too. So thank you for hearing us.
Thank you. Anyone further?
I'm Jill Combs, and I'm a Sterling Shore resident as well. And building on what they've all said, my plea is that we were all contributors in this community. We worked in the offices, we worked in the schools, we worked for nonprofits, and we're worthy of your support, and we're pleading for your support. As it is now, I'm Social Security, and my fear is homelessness. Things are going up, and if I'm homeless, many are homeless. And corporate greed seems to be skyrocketing, prices are skyrocketing, and we're at the breaking point. And I'm trying to hold on, but it's getting more and more difficult. We have wonderful residents, and they're in the same position. They couldn't be here today because of mobility and health issues. But this started when we gathered together as a group, and we wanted a better place, better responses from Caritas. And it seems to be punitive what they're doing to us right now. And we know it's not going to stop. It's an aging park, and the infrastructure is aging. And to make us pay rent and then be responsible for their infrastructure just seems to be wrong. So we really need you to approve a moratorium for us and to please protect us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. We are asking for
You
your
could state your name, please.
Oh, I'm sorry. Robert Sims, and I'm a resident of Sterling Shores on Robin Hill Drive, also known as Robin Hillbillies. But first of the year, we got a letter from the owners of the park telling us that we owed them $450,000. I've been a renter long periods of my life, and I've never had an owner decide that we were going to pay for infrastructure problems. And it's an old park. There are quite a few. There still are. The maintenance in the park has slipped in the last few years. It doesn't look like it used to be. We used to have a full-time maintenance and landscape man. Now we have 2 days a month of landscaping, and they don't seem to accomplish a lot, not nearly as what it needs to be done. So we're kind of in a bind. Like my wife said, we're on a fixed income, we're on Social Security, and nothing else. And we love living there, but can we keep staying there if our rent keeps going up? The we can handle a little bit. We have a little bit in the bank, but not much. So, and I sold my tent. So where do we go from here? There's been houses on the market for long times in the park that haven't been able to, people haven't bought them. I'm sure there's other reasons besides the rent increases. We had a 5% rent increase already in October, and now this pass through. And we were asking if you guys would consider a moratorium on rent increases for the county. Everybody that lives in a mobile home park is subject to that. I mean, it's becoming more popular to charge the residents for maintenance. So thanks for listening, and I hope you guys can help us out. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone further in the room? Not seeing any, we'll move to online. Johanna? Jody? Jody, if you could state your name for the record, we'll unmute you. You'll have 3 minutes.
Yes, my name is Jody Johnson. I am a mobile home park resident in Petaluma. I'm also the vice president GSMOL of Zone A1, which includes your area. I have firsthand experience, as we are called ground zero, in the predatory nature of park owners and pass-throughs and gouging and increased prolific elder abuse. There is no doubt in my mind that it's necessary for you to take a pause, do a moratorium in regards to the pass-throughs that are attempted here. We have found time and time again that a lot of the pass-throughs are not necessarily beneficial to the residents. They're beneficial to the park owner. And in that context, you should be looking at that before you allow any kind of pass-through to be taken. That can be taken up in your rent stabilization ordinance, which really is also necessary. There is a new breed and a new pattern that has led to prolific mental abuse and the push out of residents, especially seniors, that own their mobile home. They only rent the land. In this particular case, the fact that they continue to use capital improvements to try to drive up their profitability, or even to use rent increases to drive up their profitability, have actually not been shown to even be truthful in over 17 arbitrations I've been a part of in the last 2 years. In any MNOI process that we have used in arbitration, it has been found that they highly profit on what they have done, and they refer to the ownership and management as cash cows. That's why large investment groups who are in your backyard right now are buying up and gobbling up the mobile home industry. So I definitely encourage you to take pause, do the moratorium, do the necessary research. We can supply you with all of that evidential, factual nature. We can put you in touch with the Board of Supervisors in Alameda, the Board of Supervisors in Sonoma County, as all of them have found it to be true. Moratorium is necessary, rent stabilization is necessary, and to make sure that your residents are not abused is necessary. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything further? Hillary, if you could state your name and we'll unmute you for 3 minutes.
My name is Hillary Mosier. I'm the volunteer regional manager for the Golden State Manufactured Homeowners League, a 50-year-old statewide nonprofit organization made up of mobile home park residents seeking self-preservation. In August, this board answered their constituents' calls for protection by appointing an ad hoc committee to work on developing a rent stabilization. The unintended consequence of that action was a very steep and unreasonable fee increase in Lake Village Estates. The park owner stated that it wasn't a rent increase, but a pass-through fee to be imposed monthly over a 10-year period. This is indeed a not-so-clever means of increasing the rent because it gets rolled into the monthly fee. To add insult to injury, the owner states that the fee is to remunerate him for past months of operating expenses that have already been paid through previous rental income. It's not to repair aging infrastructure or a capital expenditure to pay for a new park amenity. This increase is to line the pockets of an executive that already earns a high six-figure income. You are the only ones that can legally prohibit this predatory greed and preserve affordability in this park. You can do this by enacting a temporary fee increase moratorium in mobile home parks until you can enact an effective rent stabilization ordinance permanent. The communities of Sonoma County, Camarillo, and Fortuna, and others have done this to good effect. And it's your responsibility to protect your constituents by doing so as well. For most in this senior park, 10 years represents the rest of their lives. And believe me, the park owner knows this. Is this legal? Right now it is. Should it be legal? No, it should not. This fee absolutely epitomizes the greedy park owner. They are demonstrating that they can squeeze money out of these elderly, low-income residents right in your faces as you attempt to protect them. These park owners are not your constituents. While they are entitled to make a fair return on their investment, they are not entitled to victimize the poor and elderly who invested their life's earnings into their home. They are pushing Lake County residents into poverty that translates to more homelessness and a larger social services burden. And you can put a halt to it. This park owner, Caritas, owns 30 parks in California, and 23% of them are in communities that already had rent stabilization ordinances. Now, bullying the elderly while they think they still can. Please be our hero. Put this issue of a moratorium on the agenda for February 24th to stop this brazen and predatory action before it's too late. I've worked all across the state for over a decade and have never seen any park owner take advantage of residents like this. I have filed a complaint with the Attorney General's Office of Charitable Organizations in a request to remove Caritas' nonprofit status. Thank you all for your time and your good judgment.
Thank you. Think further? iPhone 12. We'll unmute you. State your name for the record, please.
Sky Layla, Pillsbury Family Farms. I speak today because there is a widening stance between what is presented to you and what is actually happening on the ground, and that distance matters. It decides whether this county grows stronger or continues to hollow itself out. You are shown numbers, charts, and summaries. Staff tells you a story with confidence, and too often that story is accepted at face value. When numbers are slowed down and examined closely, they don't always tell the truth that you're being told. Totals don't align, assumptions go unchallenged, and the context disappears. Somehow, the conclusions move forward as if nothing is wrong, and that should concern every one of you. Leadership is not about nodding along to a presentation. It is about listening for what is not being said. It is about noticing when math works only if you don't ask the next question. It's about recognizing that small details are not small when people's livelihoods are tied to your decisions. I've watched this board be handed information that looks clean from a distance but falls apart up close. Instead of slowing down, instead of pressing staff for clarity, it seems the machine keeps moving. It is not governance, it is surrendering your responsibility. Ask yourself something simple today. Do you want growth that is real, rooted, and lasting, or do you want the illusion of progress while families leave and businesses shut their door and people stop believing that this county actually listens to them? Because the people are leaving, not quietly and not accidentally. They are leaving because they no longer believe what they are being told matches what they are living. They are leaving because the rules change depending on who you are. They are leaving because the decisions are being made from spreadsheets don't reflect reality. You were elected to be accountable, and the staff works for the county, but you seem to forget that it is you who answers to the people. When numbers don't add up, it is your job to stop the conversation right there. When something feels rushed, it is your job to slow it down. When policy hurts the very communities that it claims to help, it is your job to say no. This county does not need better presentations. It needs courage. It needs supervisors who are willing to sit in discomfort and demand honesty. It needs leaders who understand that growth does not come from forcing compliance. It comes from earned through consistency and fairness. If you want people to invest here and to raise families here and to build businesses here, then you must prove that what is being said in this room aligns with what happens outside of it. Otherwise, you will continue to preside over a county that shrinks, but not because of choices. The question before you is not complicated. Will you take a closer look, or will you keep accepting what is easier to hear? Because that answer will decide your county's future. Muleham.
Thank you. Anything further, Johanna? No more hands. I'm going to go ahead and close public comment. Then we're going to move on to our 903 item, which is Pet of the Week.
902.
902, I'm sorry.
As long as we're past it.
Hi, I'm Officer Real with Lake County Animal Care and Control, and this is Odin. He is a shepherd mix, about a year old. He's been with us for a couple weeks now. Obviously, as you can see, he has a calm demeanor, falling asleep, taking a nap. He is up for adoption at Lake County Animal Care and Control. And to go into that, we have a free adoption event February 14th, which is a Saturday at the shelter. So if you're interested in adopting Odin or any other animal, we have cats and dogs up there. We're also having a shot clinic February 13th, which is Friday, also at the shelter. So if you guys want any more information, just call the shelter, and we can definitely help you out with that. Hi.
Thank you. Any members of the public wish to speak on this? Thank you for attending today. We go ahead and move on to our 6.3 905 item, which is presentation of proclamation designating the month of February 2026 as Black History Month and celebrating Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday. Supervisor Sabatier will be handling this, and anyone here for this is welcome to come up on the stage with Supervisor Sabatier, or he's going to go down there.
Anyone else who wishes to join us, please come on up. So I'll speak freely for a little bit before I read the proclamation. I'm always excited to celebrate Black History Month. I think it is one of the most important piece of history that we need to understand and learn from. Our Black communities have gained so much over the course of the last 250 years, and it is something that we need to understand, that wasn't what we have today is not what we had before. It is also with a little sadness that I need to express that it feels more important than ever to understand these things that we've already gone through in life. It feels like history is not repeating itself, but it sure feels like a rhyme, where we're gonna have to figure out how to see one another as equals. And I know that we're just one county in the 3,500, I don't know the exact number, counties in all of the United States. But I'm always proud when we do this proclamation, because if we don't, then we shouldn't expect anyone else to. Please learn from your history. Today's proclamation designating the month of February 2026 Black History Month and celebrating Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday. Whereas the Lake County branch of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, NAACP, will celebrate a combination of Black History Month and Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday as we reflect on the proud legacy of courage and dedication from visionary leaders like Martin Luther King Jr., Roy Wilkins, Rosa Parks, Coretta Scott King, and local community leaders like Bessie M. Bell, Dr. Akila Murkowski, Thomas Aceves, Diane Thompson, Vincent Taylor, and Kevin Ness. And whereas the NAACP has been at the forefront of protecting our fragile democracy, which is under assault by challenges to voting requirements, and continue addressing the Americans with Disability Act, workplace prejudice and hostility, military veteran homeless housing, voter suppression, gerrymandering, and urging the passing of the John Lewis Voters' Rights Advancement Act and the Freedom to Vote Act, which will ensure all citizens' voting and civil rights are protected under the United States Constitution. And whereas the NAACP history is one of dedication and struggle to maintain equality and justice for all citizens of the United States. And whereas we celebrate the theme for this year's event, a century of Black history commemorations, and reflect on the historical significance of Black history and the many contributions of individuals and communities over the past century, and more. And whereas the local branch, like other NAACP branches throughout the state and country, diligently works on social programs aimed at the elimination of banning books, rewriting of our vast contributions to this great nation, eliminating racial hatred, bigotry, and poverty. And whereas the Lake County branch of the NAACP is led by Rick Mayo, president and 1982 founder of the Lake County branch. Now therefore be it proclaimed, the Board of Supervisors of the County of Lake does hereby designate February 2026 Black History Month and a celebration of Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday, and the Lake County branch of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People is commended on the vital role it has played and continues to play in improving the quality of life in our local community. Further, on this occasion, we encourage everyone to continue the dialogue about race, history, and culture to foster a deeper understanding of Black history in shaping the past, present, and more importantly, our future. Passed and adopted this 10th day of February 2026, signed and adopted by our Chair of the Board of Supervisors. I know you don't want me to change it, but I had to.
That's good. Members of the Board of Supervisors, I'm elated every year because our county has evolved over time and is setting the example for the rest of the country. Lake County has moved forward with advancing DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, which we all came here to this land from a different place, with the exception of my native brother here. They were already here. So, I mean, we celebrate this, and we thank you. And I'm going to introduce Lake County NAACP Secretary Greta Z, and our board member, Vincent Taylor, who, by the way, carries many other titles like myself. So I'm going to turn it over to my secretary. Thank you.
I want to thank you all for the work that you've done and that you promise to continue doing to promote diversity, equity, and inclusion. I'm impressed by the words of the proclamation, and I think that as our county is an example to the rest of the country at a time of deep division and the attempts to reverse all the advances that we've made over the last 250 years. And I appreciate that we're standing strong in the face of all that. With that, I'll turn it over to Vince.
First off, it's an honor being amongst you. You know, Martin Luther King, he had a dream, and I feel very honored to be living in that dream, to be amongst you, brothers and sisters. It's amazing, out of this world. And I just hope we continue to progress and making another dream come true, and making a brighter future for our kids. God bless you guys.
Back to you.
Thank you, Supervisor. Any further comments from the board? Well, thank you for presenting. I appreciate it.
I'd just like to say that I'm proud that we do this each year.
And I really appreciate y'all being here, and I'm proud of you. Thank you.
Can I say one more?
Yes, please.
So just while I have the microphone, and it's relevant, how we treat one another is important when we're face to face, but just as important is the integrity of how we treat one another when we're not face to face. And I think that we have technology and created situations where we don't have to look at each other, but we can talk about each other in a very public way. And what I see out there is what is making me really afraid of who we really are and where we might be going. So please remember that the true integrity of who you are as a human being is what you do when nobody is watching. And social media is showing things that maybe we should be a little bit more getting away from those types of things. So just thought I'd say something.
With that, do we have any members of the public that wish to speak on this item? Not seeing any in the room. Anyone online, Johanna? No. Okay, I think we'll go down for.
I'll just say
Go
one
ahead.
one more
Sorry.
thing. It's important that we take these times to come together and recommit to the promise of our country. And I think that's more important today than maybe it has been in a really long time. So thank you for bringing this every year. It's really an honor to do this with you.
Thank you.
Want to come over here?
Thank you for that. We're going to move on to our 6.4, 9:30 item, which is consideration of presentation giving an update on the relaunch of 211 Lake County. And with that, I'll turn it over to our administrative office to do the presentation.
Thank you so. Is it on? Thank you so much. Terry Loxton, Chief Climate Resiliency Officer and Tribal Liaison for the County of Lake. And you may be wondering why I'm here to present about 211. It is because we are relaunching it. It was already in place, and we use it a lot in the community, not just, it's not just information and referral for public services, but it encompasses everything. So the intention behind why I'm here today is because tomorrow is National 211 Day. And so we have updated and relaunched the website. We're going to send out a press release later today and do social media posts. Let's see, go all the way back to the first page. There we go. So we've used it primarily, and people are most familiar with it during the event of a disaster or during a PSPS event. But what we have done is separated. We have two different contracts. And so the contract we have is with, I'm not familiar with doing this, I'm sorry, on PDF. Interface Children and Family Services, which is based in Ventura County. They serve over 30 counties in California. And so they have a statewide and national database as well as a local database. They are very experienced. They have the highest level of certifications. I think they said they have about 90 staff that work. They work 24/7 every day. You can call, text, or contact them through the website, which again is 211lake.org. And so, as I mentioned, they have the National Resource Database. They have a dedicated resource team that curates information for Lake County, and they will update the website at least once a month, or excuse me, at least once a year. But so far, I've been working with them, and we've been making updates all along. So as I mentioned, emergency preparedness and response is what we are used to using 211 for, and that will still be in place. But that is now, or has been called 211now.com. So it's a separate website than 211 Lake. But they will put together all the information to make that available. And so this slide just talking about the different type of staffing that they have and the information exchange. And then we or they, depending on call volume, if an incident happens, they just, up the staff, and there's certain criteria that are met that goes into 211 now. There's current 211 special projects. So with PG&E during a PSPS event, customers that have access or functional needs can be connected to specialized services for them. They've partnered with California versus Hate, which is a non-emergency hate incident and hate crime reporting database. And then the newest thing is they have the ability for any resident in Lake County, you can sign up through the website and you will get a text alert when a cooling or warming center is opened in the county. And again, you sign up separately to get a notification of when we have updated the food distribution list. And both of those text notifications will go to those resources for information. They can do other special projects that could happen here. One is the tax preparation appointments, which is VITA, Volunteers and Tax Assistance. That's a program that NCO, our community action agency for Lake and Mendocino County, offers. They can CalFresh assistance. If someone wants to learn and apply, they can actually walk through with people how to apply for CalFresh, different benefits and homeless services using the HMIS system, which I can't remember what that acronym stands for. But those are extra
information, homeless management information system.
Thank you, sir. I knew you would know. It would be an additional charge, but that is something that we're going to be discussing. I've pulled together a group of county staff. We will meet monthly for at least the first 6 months. I also have a standing meeting with 211 Lake or ICSF staff to discuss the updates for the website. And so I have an annual report that was attached to the agenda, but I also have hard copies. Johanna, can I ask you to give those around? Thank you. And so even though we haven't done a lot of publicity, county residents proactively continue to use 211 Lake. So we wanted, because we have the contract, we wanted to make sure that the information is the most appropriate and the best available. And so these are statistics from 211 Lake in 2025. You can see the number of information and referral calls, two-way text exchanges, and then there were some calls that and or texts that didn't have a location. There were some that were from out of county, but people were visiting here, or people have a cell phone account that they purchased from out of county, but that is not included in here. Those were filtered out. The top 3 caller identified needs is housing, utility assistance, and individual family and community support. Calls by area, which makes sense. Clear Lake has the largest population base, had the most number of calls last year. The demographics, majority female calls. The age of callers is in the 30 to 54 and 62 and above. The highest number comes from people aged 30 to 54. And then they also break down ethnicity by callers, and that's only if someone chooses to give that information. And so, as I mentioned earlier, the 211 PSPS, which is Public Safety Power Shutoff Care Coordination, connects with electric-dependent community members, of which most of us in Lake County are. Some may have a few appliances that run on propane, but everyone uses electricity. Not all of those are connected to the grid, so these are grid-connected. But people with access and functional needs before, during, and after a power outage. And so they had, they had 17 of those cases opened in 2025. And again, the California versus Hate, which is a statewide program, is also in operation here. And then Kick It California, which is a tobacco cessation tools. Unfortunately, that project ends at the end of this month. I think that statewide project is wrapping up. But people did refer to that and get smoking cessation information from 211. So these are the categories that are listed on the right of what people can search for. There is, when you go to 211lake.org on the home page, there's a keyword section. So if you start to fill out a keyword, it will populate with a drop-down menu. And then you can put in a location, but you have to put something, whether it's one of the categories that auto-populates in that, the first search. We found that out when we were looking to see what all the resources were in one zip code. You can't just put a zip code in. Anyway, but I think it's very exciting to have a way to notify the public when the food distribution and pantry list is updated, as well as separately when a cooling or warming center is open. And the notifications have a per notification fee, not number of subscribers. And Charm Lake County, which will be here with Red Cross in a couple of weeks to present on the community resilience centers that they've been working on, is going to cover that fee for the next several years because they have a project. So thank you.
Thank you. Questions from the board? Go ahead, Supervisor Sabatier.
Yeah, just a couple of questions. Thank you for this. I know that I received a similar thing at a conference. I forget which one it was, and I started asking you some questions because we had never seen, at least I don't think we had seen a report. Just a quick shout out to Greg Cox. He is in Ventura County. He's a board of supervisor. I know he came to me, I want to say 5 years back, saying, we run the Lake County thing. Are you guys doing anything? And I know there's been a lot of action since then. So I appreciate him just bringing things to our attention, so that we've seen these changes happen. Couple of things. One is there a plan for outreach to really let people know about 211? And it's kind of a rhetorical question, but yes, still a question, because I think a really good way to advertise is all of those blank Caltrans signs that we see from time to time where they paid a whole lot of money, they're blank. Can we advertise 211 while they're not advertising be careful for the ice, be careful for the wind, be careful for it's fire season? More times than not, those signs are not utilized. I think it would be a really good place to advertise because they're everywhere throughout the entire county, so that people could be made aware of 211. The other one is because this covers the entire county. Is there a process to meet with different jurisdictions to figure out how we can get their information into the 211 system, whether that's our cities or the tribes? Has that conversation occurred? And is there a process to do so?
That's a great question. Thank you. First, to go back to the highway signs, I'm going to find out. That's a great idea because you're just driving and you look at the sign. At the next Tribal Leaders Breakfast, of which I'm on the agenda in March, I will again ask tribal leadership about participating. I had a conversation with Kyle Bill of Kanokatai Wellness, is a tribal serving nonprofit organization, and got some feedback from him. So we do want to include that. The question is whether the tribal governments want to have their information included, because a lot of their programs are not available to the public. They're only available either to their tribal members or to tribal, one of the 7 tribes in Lake County or Native Americans in general. And so that's a level of complexity. I had a conversation with 211 yesterday about that. And we're going to figure out how to get that information on there if it is wanted.
Okay. And then for the cities, is that already happening?
I don't think I've reached out specifically to the cities, but organizations that are based in the city are included in here.
Okay. And one of my leading questions as to where I was going with that is when there's an emergency only in the cities, what's the process to make sure that that information can be found from anybody calling 211? For example, like the sewer spill, I don't know if there's any information specific at 211 where folks can get information as to who do they call if they need water, who do they call if they want to get labs, things like that.
I know I've given them the press releases that the county issued. I don't know. I'll coordinate and make sure that it's a matter of I don't have the website up, but there is a location where any agency can submit their information. That's part of the meetings that I want to hold with county staff and other organizations, is to show everyone how to do that. Because you would have to have a full-time dedicated person if they were the ones doing it for the entire county. And so I've had conversations with behavioral health and with First Five, who's also doing an asset map. And interestingly enough, the Lake County Fire Chiefs Association, which has a resource guide. And so it's like, let's all 3 of us talk and compare notes so that we're not duplicating. But I'll find out those specific questions out.
Perfect. And appreciate the report just to keep us updated. It'll be nice to see what does next year's report look like. Because right now it looks like it's 3 calls a day on average. That's really not that much. And I would suspect if there's an emergency, we would see a blip where there's suddenly a lot more activity happening. So again, appreciate it. It gives us a baseline to go from.
Great. Thank you.
Anything further from board members? Not seeing any. I'm going to go ahead and open it up to the public. Do we have anybody in the room that wishes to speak on this item? Come forward, state your name for the record, and you'll have 3 minutes.
Hi, my name is Myelin. I just have a couple questions for you. Is there a Facebook page for this?
There is not right now a separate Facebook page.
Okay, because I had never heard of it before. I know I've only been here 10 years, but I haven't heard of this. And my second question is, I saw that it says it has it's just removed from the board, but homelessness and housing services. What do you offer in that category?
Well, they use a database of all of the organizations and the services that they provide. So it's really what this website is a database, a searchable online database. But the nice part about it, the website shows you the database, but you can also access that information by texting them or calling them. So you can pick up the phone and call and say, I live here and I need to get to the doctor's appointment. Are there transportation options? What are they? And they will refer you to the organizations that provide that service.
Okay, so if you were having a hard time paying your rent that month, then you would look on there and there might be some phone numbers to call for assistance? Okay, I didn't know what it was about. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Do we have anyone else in the room who wishes to speak? Not seeing any online, Johanna? No hands. I'm going to bring it back to the board, and we'll go with Supervisor Pyska.
Yeah, and it was at CSAC at the annual meeting that we had the presentation, but this really is a way, and we've been, working towards a greater accessibility for all of the populations in the county, because we know not everyone's on social media, not everyone has the same access points, and we're hoping everyone has access to a telephone or cell phone. So this is a really wonderful sort of concierge service to make sure that we're meeting the needs of everyone in our county. So I'm really glad to see that we're expanding.
Thank you. Will some of these be available in the lobby in case anyone?
Yeah, there's some up here. Some will be available in the lobby. It will, as I mentioned today, we're going to send out a press release. We also have a social media campaign that will go out on the County of Lake website, and then any other county department that wants it, or any organization that wants the collateral materials, there's a request form on the website, and I can send that digital information to them.
Thank you. Supervisor Crandall.
Oh,
Yeah. Okay, sorry. Supervisor Sabatier.
Yeah, I may be ahead of myself. Again, appreciate the work you've done, but I believe also Matthew Rothstein has done quite a bit. That's who I originally was working with. I think he knew at the same time that I found out from Greg Cox, and just want to say thank you for all the work that's been done from the office for this.
Yes.
I'll just say, I saw some of these for the audience were placed up front, and I wasn't aware of it either. So I'm really glad I've already posted it on my supervisor page.
Great.
So-
Great. Well, we'll have more things for you to share later today.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I believe I asked online, right? There was nobody. Okay, I believe we'll bring it back to the board. I don't see anything further, so we'll go ahead and conclude that item. And it is exactly 10 a.m.
We do it right.
And we're going to go ahead and move into our closed session. And I'm going to go ahead and read those items off that we're going to take in closed session. And the first one will be 8.1, which is conference with legal counsel, significant exposure to litigation pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9 D2, E1, 3 potential cases. Then we'll have our 8.2, which is public employee evaluation, county administrative officer. We will also have public employee evaluation, title Water Resources Director. Then our 8.4 item, conference with labor negotiator, conference with labor negotiator A, chief negotiator, Susan Parker, county negotiators, Jay Salone, Stephen Carter, Casey Moreno, Pam Samick, Diana Rico, and B, employee organization, Deputy County Council Association. With that, we're going to adjourn into closed session. Thank you. All right, I'm going to call our meeting back to order at 1:41, and we're going to start with our 6.5. Turn your mic on. My mic, sorry. We're going to start with our 6.5 item, 1:30 p.m. item, which is A, consideration of presentation of Community Development Department historical revenue and expense analysis, and B, request for board direction regarding department operations and loan repayment plan. And we're going to start with our Community Development Director, Maria Turner.
Other device, hang on. 1 second, sorry.
My apologies. I was streaming the meeting on my iPad, so I could hear you down at my feet for a moment. Mireya Turner, Community Development Director. We would like to request a continuation of this item. I know that it has been eagerly awaited by both the board and the public. We have dedicated significant staff time, both us and I'm sure Stephen can agree on the administrative office side of staff time, evenings and weekends to get all the data that has been compiled for you and is finally available to the public on our PowerPoint slides and supporting documentation as well. I am working on now fleshing out options for the board to consider that include staff reductions, reductions in services, and increase in fees that will be easier for the board to consider if it's all laid out for you in different options. That part is still ongoing. Additionally, while I do extend sincere gratitude to the administrative office for the time that they have committed to assisting us and meeting with us through this process, I'm afraid that my extra load on Casey may have caused her to not be able to outrun the virus season. And it would be very helpful if she also was able to attend, because admin had significant input, both in the slides that we're presenting as well as the slides that are on admin's behalf.
Okay, anything, Mr. Carter, anything further?
I don't have anything to add at this point. It'd be more if your board has questions. There are some further analysis that needs to be done by administration, if you notice from the slides as well, because things don't 100% balance currently.
Okay. Bring it back to the, in front of the board for discussion on this. And go ahead, Supervisor Sabatier.
I think we need to have some level of a conversation. I feel like we've been kicking this can down the road since late December. In December, after the loan, we were told that this would be a 3-year process. We made some requests at that point in time, and it just feels like we are just keep pushing back the inevitable conversation to the point where we're just going to finish the year. And then there's been not really a conversation at this point, you've made changes. So that means we're trusting that you're making the changes and this doesn't require any board action. I feel like we have to have a conversation. Maybe today we don't finalize anything, but kicking the can down the road, knowing that there are some deep issues and concerns just doesn't feel right. And I know that you're not done with your process, but I don't know, I guess I'm feeling if we kick the can down the road once more, then what's our purpose as a Board of Supervisor? This is not as important as we intended it to be when we asked for it to come back in December. So that's just a little bit of frustration on this process, and I feel like we have no control over it because we just keep pushing it further and further and further.
Supervisor Pyska.
Oh, thank you. I fully appreciate Supervisor Sabatier's comments and position. In the meantime, well, first of all, we'll request a continuance to the very next agenda where all 5 supervisors will be able to attend, which would be March 3rd. In that meantime, I will be able to confer further also with HR regarding the correct processes to go about for staff reductions, as well as notifying the potential staff one by one to just so that they're not blindsided during our conversation.
Go ahead.
I mean, I do agree with Supervisor Sabatier that this has been a frustrating and long process, but also I think if we're going to have this conversation, we need to have it in a productive way. What you provided us is a lot of data and details, and I think it was important for all of us to review and the public to review too. But we do need to see what the plan is. That's what we asked for, and I think giving you that time to come back when we are next all together to give us the plan is how we should proceed. So I'm okay with pushing this just a little bit further so that we can get exactly what we've asked for to move forward.
And I'll weigh in similarly, it is a priority that we have to get this done, but when I reviewed everything yesterday, I didn't feel we were quite there with solid plans, or plans plural, maybe one or more, to give us something that we can really move forward with to get this corrected. So I'm in favor of continuing it because we're still going to have to go over the same information again once we meet, if we do move it to March. But I think we're very close, and that additional time will give us all the information we need to actually make some decisions in that meeting. So that's where I said. Supervisor Crandall?
Yeah, I'm kind of in the middle. I don't really, I feel like if we go into discussion today, we're going to go off into some rabbit holes or some other topics, and then we're going to come back and talk about everything again, plus whatever feedback that they're given, they're going to implement it. So I mean, I think I'm okay with the postponing if need be. But I do agree it would be good to get some dialogue in because, this has been, it's been a minute. So, but again, I'm good with postponing it.
Supervisor Sabatier?
And so I know that you're basically saying you don't have the options at this moment in time fleshed out entirely, but you do have pages and pages of material. Can you present the material so we can ask some questions so then the public can hear and understand what's being presented to us to help understand the status? Or is that information also potentially in flux where that needs to be changed? Because I think better understanding this coming out of this meeting can allow us a week to sit on that information, think it through, and maybe come up with better perspectives than waiting for the options and that presentation all at once. And I just think March 3rd is just, it's too far.
So I would say one thing related to that, sorry.
That's okay, go ahead.
The financial data will change, especially the things related to mid-year budget, which currently do not balance. There's still work that needs to be done with CDD to make those balance. And I just basically finalized how much general fund was going to be needed in mid-year. So I just got new information that will help the conversation on whether extra support can be done or not, which is part of one of the options, versus everything else going on. So we wouldn't have the full story today, but I'll leave it up to Maria on the real presentation.
Go ahead, Supervisor Hahn.
Okay. All right. One of the, it's been, that would be putting us close to 25% of the year by the end of March. So I just want to get on this because it's been 5 months since we found out that we were operating in the red. And it looks like, according to the materials that are uploaded, that we are still currently operating in the red, as in what's coming in is not covering what's going out. So I think that this is really important that we not drag this out any further than the first week of March for obvious reasons. We need to make some adjustments because the further down the road we kick this can, the more the more difficult it's going to be to make up what we're losing. Because right now there's more going out than what's coming in, and we obviously cannot operate like that. So,
I hear you. Yes.
thank you.
Any other questions before we open it to the public? Right now, I'm not hearing, I'm hearing a consensus to go ahead and continue it. So if there's nothing further, we can open it up to the public regarding, you know, whether or not we're going to continue this item.
Good afternoon, Chair Tom Lasik. Happy birthday to both of you, Madam Pyska and Madam Owen, and happy Valentine's to everybody. I love you all, but not in a weird way. I have looked at the report, and there are definitely red flags, so giving them more time to fix it is probably prudent. There are actually errors in the presentation. It might be worthwhile, if I may suggest, for the board to advise staff and CDD on what do you expect in the final outcome. Just highlight some of the concerns. I think some of it has been pointed out that it now looks like the payback period is not even going to start until near the end of 2027 calendar year. There should be a discussion on that. The idea of tapping into other reserves because other counties do it. I noticed that the counties listed, none of them seem to actually be nearby counties. There's no Calusa, Napa, Sonoma, Mendocino. So I would say let's take a good look at what's actually happening in the state. It deserves scrutiny because it looks like it was a selective list, maybe not representative of what's really going on. The market, yes, I'm a big fan of UCLA Economics Department for a few really good reasons, but I think it should be considered some of the economic outcomes. And just as a teaser, for example, solar, the incentives have now gone away. The CPUC has a new rate schedule, and quite a bit of solar permits were issued in the last 3 years, and it's expected to drop 80%. That's like one full person or more. So those types of considerations, I think, needs to take a closer look. I'm glad they've noticed some errors and they want to fix them. I think they deserve that time. But if it would probably be wise if the board give them some direction as to what they would like to see and what they don't want to see and things like that. Thank you.
Anyone else in the room? Not seeing any. Do we have anybody online? Betsy, if you could state your name for the record, and you'll have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Board. Betsy Kahn, Upper Lake. I want to go back to the very beginning. We know that there are times when there is not as much money coming in paid services than we have to pay for the maintenance of the expertise of the department. That just comes and goes. Policy has changed over the last 25 years. Something happened in this last few years where apparently an erroneous direction was given, or a direction was given that wasn't followed correctly. It ended up with a glitch in Fund X being exceeded, but it's not like the money isn't there, and it's not like we don't have to scrutinize ways to make the services more effective and efficient, but I don't really understand why this is a huge problem, since it's a part of the normal cycle of economic changes. And we do have those economic changes that are the extraordinary burdens of federal reductions and so forth. But that's the normal course of events. And it's simply up to us to maintain the level of public service that is required, whether it comes out of the general fund or not. Those are my comments.
Thank you. Any further on Zoom? iPhone 9. You state your name for the record.
Sky Laywell, Pillsbury Family Farms. I don't support kicking this can down the road. It's not a plan, it seems to be avoidance. There are real problems with the data and the tracking and how this current department is functioning. And delaying a conversation doesn't fix any of it. It just gives the problems more time to grow. Hearing that staff reductions could happen between now and whenever this comes back makes it even more concerning. You can't cut people and expect better work, better tracking, and better answers. It's just not how reality works. And if this board sees the cracks, then you should deal with them now. Ask them the hard questions and set the expectations now. Because pushing it off does not help the public. It definitely does not help the people that are trying to operate in this county legally either. So please, don't kick this can down the road. Thank you.
Thank you. Guest. If you could state your name, you'll have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Angela Amaral. I would just like to point out on the continuances, you guys are dealing with a large department that has a severe deficit and has failed once again to meet an expected deadline. I feel that March 3rd should be an unacceptable answer to everyone up on that dais right now. This has been months. I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you. No more hands. I'm going to close public comment and bring it back to the board for further discussion. Supervisor Sabatier.
So obviously there seems to be consensus to continue, but I would like to make some comments, and I'm not sure if I can or not, but I think that I just think there's some, I guess, baseline of things that need to be discussed. And I'm looking at Mr. Guintavano, who might or might not be able to help me through this. I don't know if I'm being cryptic or...
So a short answer is, as far as providing, what's before your board is really two sub-items. One is the continuance request. The other one is actually the substance, which was the information of which was already uploaded in Granica. So board, your board, through the board's chair, has determined to take on the continuance issue first. Public comment was taken, but your board, with the board chair and the board chair also has the discretion to provide feedback to staff on the issues, any concerns or issues that are related to, say, the documents that have already been uploaded to grant, because for purposes of this, if it is anticipated, the continuance to a later date. My suggestion at that point is if your board decides to go in that direction, your board would have to take public comment on that issue, because that is beyond, outside of just the continuance request issue, meaning the issue being the scope is brought into the effect of what to provide staff with any matters or issues in preparation for the future date. So if that's where your board's is leaning towards.
And so what I'd like to do is take up whether we're going to continue it, but also be able to provide direction to staff if we do continue it. I'd like us to be able to provide clear directions on what we expect back at that date and time certain, if we decide to do that. And Supervisor Owen has a comment.
Yeah, I would prefer to handle it today as well, of course, as much as possible, at least get a good prospect. But I know from hearing from my colleagues, it looks like we're going to be continuing it. I had actually talked to some people, and I know that as Mr. Tom had mentioned, the solar incentives, because that has been our biggest. It looked like we were doing in last year 406 permits, by far our largest permit sector. PG&E is, as of, I think it's April 1st, April 1st. We had talked about it. April 1st, they're not going to be buying power back. PG&E won't. So I expect those to drop down significantly. So it looks like the permits are going to drop significantly, because that was by far our largest bucket of permits. I personally am not for upping our building fees, permit fees, the cost to that. I think it's already burdensome, and we're wanting to encourage building. And so direction to staff would be bringing us more than one option on how to reduce the budget for the CDD. And
I think we need to decide on whether or not we're going to continue, and then give
okay,
direction.
go ahead. Sorry,
Yeah,
got ahead of myself.
Yeah, thank you. So what I would, unless it's changed, I was seeing consensus to continue. Still have that. So with that, we can provide direction to staff that we are amenable to continuing it, but then we're going to give some direction, which we will take public comment again on that as well. So I think we can move on to that portion of this, and Supervisor Owen, will let you go.
Okay.
first.
Just basically what I said, I don't want to see an increase, which I know that you had mentioned in the comments, that was one of the solutions. I think we need to look in other ways to be able to encourage our people to be able to build, rather than making it more difficult.
We would be happy to prepare a scenario on how that would be possible without raising fees.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead, Supervisor Sabatier.
So I think we take action here as a board that has repercussions, and I think that providing increases in people's salaries automatically increases the fees. I mean, it has to be reviewed for that, because we're not doing work for free. The cost that I'm seeing as the increase is a little bit of a concern. I'd like to better understand how you came to that number, because it looks like at least one of them is double the amount. While I want to make sure it covers what we do, I also want to make sure it covers exactly what we do, not any shortfalls of what we're not doing, and still need to somehow have money to cover those things. And so I know that there was a lull. That lull could happen again. And I think it's a lull of issues of our incentives that we have here for people to build in Lake County. I know I would never be able to build a house. It's just not cost effective. I would lose money just by building a house. I could not sell it for what it costs. That has nothing to do with CDD. That's just the circumstances that we have currently, that we are trying to change the economic mobility of this county in order to make that change. But until then, I don't think this is a one-off. I think that we're going to, yes, maybe have an increase when it comes to the Maha project, whenever they start going through the process of getting everything approved for all the building permits they're going to need. But that's also a potentially one-time thing that we need to be ready for, and then ready to go back to what normal is. And so I think, without asking for the crystal ball that is impossible to do, maybe a month-to-month number of permits rather than an annual, because that doesn't help me knowing what do you deal with from from July to December versus January to June, because you're telling us that the future will help solve the past, which I still have some issues with. But I'm not understanding that when you're only telling me 2017, 2018, 2019, and what the revenues are. I think it needs to be broken down a little bit better to understand what is our average and what do we need in order to be able to process that average. I know it's a bad word and it's not what anybody wants to hear, but we have to live within our means as well. And we need to look at the number of staff that are in each department, and are we asking to get revenues to support staff, or are we having enough activity where staff is needed for that processing of that activity? And I haven't seen anything about that. And until I see that, I'm not sure from which bias we're coming from, of service or supporting staff, and it needs to be a balancing act because we can't choose one over the other. We have to figure out what the best approach is. I don't believe that your departments will ever, nor should we aspire to ever, not touch general fund. That's just not going to be possible. Is it possible that some years? Yes, but I also don't want code enforcement to say a nail's out of place, we're giving you a notice of violation because we're not making any more revenue because we've solved all the problems in the world. Yes, there's revenues to be made, but there's always going to be a need for you to be here, and maybe less of a need for some of the services that are out there. Therefore, there's always going to be a need for general fund. And you showed that with some of the counties that you compared it to. So I think that we need to not aspire that this is a self-supporting only. It's a balancing act again. I just don't see that happening, and I haven't seen it happen in other communities as well. I do. Yeah, I wish we could have a deeper conversation rather than just a one-way monologue, because this. So there's two things. One, it's a little weird, and I get it. It's because the budget is set. We don't have any leftover money. Therefore, we do a loan versus just adjusting with more general funds. So it's kind of weird that we're having the conversation in the sense of, let me know what you're changing, but we're done with talking about this whole, the loan thing is weird, because you're getting general fund anyways, and, well.
No. Building is a non-general fund.
I'm talking about just the overall department. And building is also covering, well, but we're not just talking about building. We're talking about all, if we're not having a conversation about CDD, I think we're missing the mark. We have to have a conversation about the entire department, not one division. Because part of the problem we've been told, which I believe is correct, is that it has been helping to help pay for some of the other divisions in the department through some of the reserves that have been taken out. So I'm just going to stop because I think it's unfortunately somewhat useless without good dialogue in order to get better understanding. But March 3rd is too far, and it seemed pretty immediate when there was a need, but it doesn't seem pretty immediate to come back to us with what we're requesting. And that's really frustrating from this perspective, because all we're doing is saying there's not really a problem, or else we would be having the discussion and not this monologue that we're doing.
Supervisor Pyska.
I think we all agree that there is a big problem. And I think the direction that we've been given has been, give us a solution. We have to live within our means. This department has been supported by the general fund. We have to be very careful about that, or we have to make decisions about that. And I think that's part of the conversation, what we need more information on. When I looked through the numbers yesterday and when I had a conversation with both of you individually, I have a lot of questions. I don't think that we're there yet, right, to make our decision right now. We have to tighten our belt. We have to make some hard decisions. We have to look at revenue. We have to look at everything right now. And we have to figure out how we want this department to move forward. We also have the larger context of economic development and making sure our communities are still able to grow. So there's a lot of really difficult things that we need to decide as a board. But what we really need from CDD are some very clear plans. And, that's, I think, what's lacking here. I think the research has been done. I wish that we could meet next week, but we just can't. I don't feel good about moving this further out, but I think for us to make the best decisions that we have to do that. We're in a very different economic time right now. And if we don't handle this in this department, we risk other departments and we risk the problem getting bigger. With our general fund has to cover a lot of different things. And I don't want to see this expand beyond CDD. So I think it's important that we get all the right data, we have some plans, and this board makes some really tough decisions.
So where I'm at, hang on, I'll get right to you. I want to see clearly laid out plans that look at what would staff and service reductions, how much money would we have there? Look at the fees and calculate what would that bring in, and also whether or not there's any other funding that can support this situation. I think we need to look at all of those options and clearly understand and lay out what the consequences are also, or what the effect of those different options would be. And I think that's the last piece that we need to be able to make final decisions on how to get this corrected. And I do appreciate all the work that's been done. I'd also love to be able to do this today or next week, but I just think we need more information. And March 3rd is the earliest date that we can do it, unfortunately. But that's where I'm at with wanting to see clearly identified options with the outcomes of how that's going to impact us. I mean, whichever way we go, and I haven't made any decisions yet because we haven't looked at all the data, but there's going to be consequences to whatever decisions we make. So I think we just need to have those all in front of us and be able to look at that. And I'll leave it at that for now and go to Supervisor Sabatier.
Why not next week?
Well, because there's no meeting.
We can have a special?
Why not next week?
Well, you're suggesting a special meeting?
I mean, is this important to us or is it not important to us?
We can discuss that. I mean, what would that look like for you folks? I guess I should ask first.
I would need to authorize some weekend work for my finance people.
Doesn't have to be Tuesday.
Either way, well, and additionally, I just wanted to remind the board that you wanted things posted online and available to the public prior to the meeting. So
So we do, 1 second.
at this point, I have him getting me that data in time for the posting for March 3rd, but kind of a little late. I hadn't told Johanna, but maybe by that Friday instead of that Wednesday. But still trying to work with the timers.
There's, Supervisor, what about the week after that for a special meeting as well? I know there's some.
Everybody's out of town, I think.
Be back on Wednesday.
Oh, okay.
I mean, sometime on Wednesday, so Thursday or Friday would be available, but I'm just putting it out there just because we don't have an official meeting doesn't mean we can't have a meeting. And if this is important to us to figure out what the solution is and give direction, March 3rd, all the way from December just seems not urgent.
Can I ask you a question, County Council? So if we did do a meeting next week, would that be since it's a special meeting, would that be a 24-hour posting?
Yes, it would be.
Yeah, so what, any of board members have any further on that?
I'm fine either way, yeah.
What was that?
I said I'm fine either way. Yeah. I mean,
I'm good.
yeah.
I'd be
because-
open for it. I don't. Yes,
Thank you, Chair. I just want to make sure as far as staff capacity
right.
and the ability to turn it around in a well formulated manner, if that is possible or not. That would be the question I would ask.
Yeah. So I think we need to find out.
Put in the position to do it, so I mean,
We're working on it right now. Having it available and finished by next week might be a push. Some more significant push than we have right now. The last week in February is possible. We have a planning commission meeting that Thursday, but nothing Friday, the 27th.
you guys are gone.
Wednesday, the 25th is the Clear Lake Hitch Summit.
Go ahead.
I think we can leave it up to the chair and staff to make the decision. If it works on a calendar, if you can make it work or not. I think we can make ourselves available, but I will leave it up to you. That's my preference. I think there's a lot more to consider than making a decision on the fly.
Yeah, there's certainly a ton of questions here on staff availability, and I actually think that's a good idea if we set it for March 3rd, or if we can work it out a different date, then we could bring that back. Supervisor, what?
At this moment in time, it's set for March 3rd. I'm just looking for a different option, and if one shows up and then we can make it happen, then that would make me happier, because I think that we should be discussing this sooner than later, rather
Okay.
than just waiting for the next available. That's the easiest path of least resistance, and I'm looking for the path to a solution.
Well, then I'll work, after the meeting, I'll work with the staff to see what we can make happen or not. And if there's no further discussion, I'm going to open it up to the public for comments related to the direction that we have discussed up here and given to staff.
Good afternoon again, Tom Lasik. A couple points of clarification regarding the solar comment. PG&E isn't stopping as of April 1st. They're changing the rate structure to, it's not zero, but it's much lower than it was before.
Okay, thank you.
The other thing I would respectfully point out is that to what Mr. Sabatier said about, going into the reserve and things of that nature, I think that somewhat misses the point. From a public's perspective, tapping into the Building and Safety Reserve was behind the scenes. It wasn't transparent. You didn't find out about it until 3 years later that that's how a significant portion of that department was being funded. While there might be other departments that use reserves, reserves are typically meant for special projects, special programs, and contingency. If you're going to go into a reserve, it should be reported and be transparent, top of line when you have your budget. It is obscuring the true cost of operations when you put it into the reserve, and you don't have the controls, the governance, and the oversight that reserves typically have. And quite frankly, when it's done that way, you've essentially created a slush fund. And that's not what you want. You want all of that stuff to be in the budget, transparent, so that when you review and approve and authorize the department's expenditures, you know exactly what it's costing. And to date, that hasn't been the case with this department. It's been apparent that not only have they been tapping into the Building and Safety Fund, they've been tapping into the Cannabis Fund. Whether that's right or wrong, that's, I think, secondary. What's most important is changing the policy so that all of this stuff is transparent and in front of you when you make your budgetary decisions. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in the room? Do we have anyone online, Joanna? iPhone 9. We'll unmute you, and you could state your name for the record, please.
Skylar Lewa, Pillsbury Family Farms, and I do support you guys in calling a special meeting on the community development. It needs to happen now. You talk about wanting growth, but still trying to raise fees, and now we have to deal with staff reductions. And if staff reductions have to be made, then maybe we should start at the top with Director Turner and high-level CDD management and give lower senior staff a chance to step up. Thank you.
Thank you.
We can make next week work. I've just been conferring with staff, and yeah, if the board would like to do a special meeting next week, we can make that work.
I think we still need to have a discussion and look at schedules, because I have no idea what everybody's got going on, but I appreciate that. And then we'll follow up. At this point, it's set for March 3rd, unless we can confirm that. So we'll follow up, but was there anyone else online, Joanna?
No more hands.
No more hands, so bring it back to the closed public comment, bring it back to the board for any further direction. Not seeing any. Do you have questions?
I just have one final thought to leave the board with. I can understand the desire to see a scenario that shows no increase in fees. However, that scenario is going to show such a drastic slashing in staff resources and services provided that it's not going to look like the department looks right now. So just wanted to forewarn you on that. I appreciated Supervisor Sabatier's comment about when wages go up, so do fees, but that's not actually accurate. When wages go up, the need for fees goes up,
That's what I meant.
but the fee doesn't go up. Historically, our fee has not been raised. This board remembers how challenging it was even to get a CPI increase at the last master fee schedule. And so every year, and it precedes this board, every year since I started working with the county in 2006, the board has had to have that challenging balance between encouraging and ensuring development versus how much is then the gap in the budget with CDD. So just wanted to present that with the board. The idea of not raising fees at all is not likely. That's going to need to be part of the different options, and we will present multiple options.
Thank you. Not hearing anything further.
I have one more question.
Go ahead.
I noticed it was something like 145 residential permits. Was that for houses to be built? What was that for? Because it just said residential.
That is likely for stick-built and manufactured homes, but I need to defer to staff for that. That wasn't my slide to present, so.
Okay, yeah, if
that
you
one
can just get me the details on that, because I know a few years ago when I was campaigning, it was something like 30-something homes built, and then looking back on it, it's listed at over 100. So if you could just let me know, I saw what was in there, but it just didn't state, it was ambiguous, I guess, if those were actually houses being built.
I do not think we built 145 houses within the
That's what I
last
was
year.
thinking, that's why I was
Right.
questioning
So
it.
it's got to include some, and I do have my
Oh,
chief building
Mr.
official who
Smalley's
can
here.
help with that. Please do.
Please.
I mean, sorry, if the chair says yeah.
Jack Smalley, Chief Building Official for the county. So when we talk about residential permits, there's a number of categories that fall under that residential heading in the OpenGov permitting software. before in Acela, if it said residential, it was residential. And now, but there's a lot of other categories under that residential. So,
That's what I was surmising, but I noticed you had roofs singled out.
yeah,
You had solar, you had a number of different, so I just wasn't sure what I just didn't see us building that many homes.
right. So hopefully I cleared it up a little bit for you.
We did not build that many homes. You are right.
Thank you. Supervisor Sabatier.
Just as a clarification, I asked the exact same question. I got a response from Director Turner and her staff that there was 35 permits for single-family dwellings or ADUs issued within 2025. These are still being constructed. That's the response that I received
So
when I
can
asked
we
about
get
the
a-
135.
Can we get a breakdown on what else is in that category that could be
Sure.
making up it'd be over 2/3 of it?
Right. Right. And I think Supervisor Sabatier's numbers would be closer to what is actually being built. And if they're not finalized yet, they're still in a different category as issued, not completed. And it would be single-family dwellings, dwelling units, things like that.
As well as
you mentioned.
modulars.
Yes, ma'am.
And then, so are they ever double tracked, as in they're started in 2024 and they don't get finished until 2025? Are they showing up on both?
They would show up. They would show up as issued, and they would show up as finalized. So, okay.
All right.
All right.
Okay. So you've got the clarification, direction.
If I understand correctly, it is continued to March 3rd unless there is a different date that the chair and our staff are able to work out.
That's correct.
Thank you.
And we'll go ahead and close this item. Is 5.14 ready, CAO? Or,
Why don't you take up 7.5 and I'll make sure Jesse is online.
I'm going to take up item 7.5. This is consideration of the following advisory board appointment. 1, Fish and Wildlife Advisory Committee, and 2, Middletown Area Town Hall. And be ready for discussion on that from board members.
Good with Chris McLeod. She's excited to get back on.
Okay, any further on that? I'm good with that. Middletown Area Town Hall,
I'm going to accept Tara
okay.
Ibarra for Middletown Town Hall as an alternate.
Okay, if there's nothing further, we'll go ahead and open this up to the public. Is there any member of the public that wishes to comment on these appointments? Not seeing any in the room, no hands online. I'll bring it back to the board for action.
And I have my personal opinion on Michelle Scully, but she's not in my district. We're good with that?
I'm good with that.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Then I move to approve Chris McLeod and Michelle Scully to their appropriate designation on the Fish and Wildlife Advisory Board.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That carries 5-0.
I'd like to move that we accept Tara Ibarra into the Middletown Math as an alternate.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries.
And Mr. Chair, I apologize just for the record. That opinion was a positive opinion.
Yes, that's what I heard.
Wanted to clarify.
Thank you. And now we're going to move on to our item 5.14, and we have special districts appearing on Zoom. Johanna?
Good afternoon, board. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, we can't see you. There you go.
Okay. Good afternoon, board. Jesse Sarma, Lake County Special Districts. and here to present the item. So we are looking to amend the recommended action. The change we are going to implement here is we're going to award the bid and authorize the chair to sign the notice of award and for the project agreement. If there's any questions about the item I can answer here. I guess it was just a clerical mistake here with our title.
Thank you. Do we have any questions from board? Anything further, CAO? County Council?
So just for, to elaborate on Mr. Samaran's revised recommended action, there's mainly two documents before your board today, both of which were uploaded in Granicus and Legistar. First one is the notice of award, and so the amendment there would be to change the signature field from County of Lake Special Districts Administrator to County of Lake Chair of the Board of Supervisors, to have your board approve it and authorize the chair to sign. The other document would be the project agreement itself, and the only recommended change as part of the recommendation there would be to change the signature field of the owner from Lake County Special Districts to the County of Lake with the chair of the board to sign that field if it's approved. And so it would consist of two separate motions there, and I could walk your board through that when it's time.
Thank you. Anything further from the board before I open to the public? Is there anybody in the room that wishes to speak on this item? Seeing none, move to online. Sterling, if you could state your name for the record, you'll have 3 minutes.
Good afternoon. Name is Sterling Wellman. I went through the agenda, but wanting to have it kind of clarified more, what are we moving to approve? And if it has anything to do with the sewage spill in Clear Lake. Thank you.
This was item 5.14 on the consent agenda, which is
It's a,
a bid award for a water main replacement project
in Kelseyville.
in Kelseyville. It's a award bid for the Live Oak Drive water main replacement project. Has nothing to do with the sewer spill. Okay. Anything further online, Johanna? No, not yet. Hearing none, I'll bring it back to the board. Supervisor Sabatier.
Yeah, just to add for further clarification, indeed, this is in Kelseyville. This is for a water main, not a sewer main, different budget, different district, complete separate situations. And every system needs to get what they need. So just wanted to clarify that.
Thank you. Supervisor Pyska.
Can I get the motions, please?
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you. So the first motion would be motion to award, bid, and authorize the chair to sign the notice of award as amended.
So moved.
We have a motion?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, that carries 5-0. Go ahead.
Second motion would be to approve the project agreement and as amended and authorize the chair to sign.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries 5-0. I'm going to move, are we ready for 7.8?
Thank you, board.
Thank you, Jesse.
Thank you, Jesse.
Chair, we could probably do 7.8 and 7.9.
7.8, we're going to handle 7.8 first, which is consideration of a resolution increasing reserve cancellation, making additional funding available for the Robin Lane sewage release event, response, and streamlining process by amending Resolution 2026-08, amending Resolution 2025-118, adopting final budget for fiscal year 2025-2026 to cancel $500,000 in reserve designations in Disaster Response and Recovery Fund 110 and transfer to Lake Osan Southeast Regional System Fund 254 to increase reserve cancellation by $1,000,000 and remove transfer to Lake Osan Southeast Regional System. That is the item, and we have our deputy or our assistant CAO, our sheriff and undersheriff, and who's going to start this out?
I will.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Board, Stephen Carter, Assistant CAO. So the main reason for this resolution is right in the title. We're going to keep all the funds from when IC was taken over by the sheriff and the city. All the funds from general fund are going to stay in Budget Unit 1920, which is our disaster budget unit. And we have already have invoices and or known expenses of a little over 1.2 million. It was provided with 1,143,000, but we already know of some more since then. So the goal is this would increase it to 1.75, so 1,750,000 of funding available on top of the 1.1 that was already special districts. And all the expenses would flow and now through Budget Unit 1920, which is a disaster budget unit. And that's the way it is currently going now. And don't know if there's really anything else to update on that.
Supervisor Pyska.
Yes, I will just ask the question I asked last time because it's in the resolution. Funds will be repaid through state claims and or special districts. And I'm guessing, I mean, we're making this transfer knowing full well that it will, that the reimbursement likely or could not happen, correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
We are working diligently with Cal OES and the state, but there is no guarantees.
Right, and we need to do it.
Go ahead, Undersheriff.
Just here to support.
Center button.
I got you. Undersheriff Polich, just here to support this request. Obviously, we've been working really hard for the past 2 weeks that our team took over Incident Command. Been continuing some things with our tanks and water deliveries and testing. Those all have costs, and those will continue for a number of months probably. We did identify our long-term solution, which was some filtration systems. Those have been ordered, and those are costly, and some of the unknown costs are what it's going to cost to have those installed. We're working on that now, so this will be necessary.
So that is a key difference from last time. Last time it was basically water tanks and filling water. This time, this funding is basically, we would like it to be wide open because there's some filtration devices, well testing, tanks, water deliveries, laundry, basically everything.
Okay, Supervisor Sabatier.
Yeah, no, I appreciate coming here in anticipation that this is not done yet. Basically, there's going to be more needs. Do appreciate the leadership from the unified command that is happening. I appreciate your composure during the town hall meetings, where every time there's an emergency, no matter what that emergency is, you're dealing with people's emotions, people's frustrations. I do appreciate the way that you've approached this, both in dealing with the public and in trying to resolve the problem, and just greatly appreciate that we're doing this in a proactive fashion rather than a reactive fashion at this moment in time to prepare for what's coming. So thank you. Looking forward to approve this.
Thank you.
I just wanted to thank them for stepping up and getting in the mix.
Thank you. It obviously takes a team, and we have a lot of good people working on it and working hard for the last 2 weeks and putting in a lot of hours. So thank you.
What's appreciated.
My question at this point is, with everything we know, are we confident that the 1 million is enough to move us forward with what we know right now?
I would say, based on the information we have, I'm going to give you a 75% yes on that. There's variables to, a long-term resolution to this. that we can't factor in. So the plan that we have right now with the filtration systems, installing those on the homes that want them, this is a long-term resolution to this rather than short-term with water tanks and deliveries is just unsustainable. And that's what we looked at. The command team and the incident and through OES, we looked at that, and that's just not a feasible long-term plan. So the filtration systems were, and that's the direction we're now moving. But we can't say that there's not going to be something that's going to pop up in the next month, or once we get these filtration systems installed, there may be some other problems that we're going to have to resolve moving forward for that long-term solution. So I'll give you a 75% on that. We think it's going to be enough based on our numbers, but
right,
can't be 100% certain at this point.
Understood, and I appreciate that answer. Supervisor Sabatier?
Yeah, just a brief comment. I know I spoke with the city manager yesterday. I don't know what our numbers look like as of now, but I know that we've moved over to a online application to apply for the filtration systems as well as the tanks, and then there's a review to see if the tanks are eligible for those individuals. The first numbers that I got, which I think were either Monday morning, they were probably yesterday morning, seemed low. I think there's confusion. I think there's some people who don't know how to use the system, a number of things. I hope that number climbs, but I think that I know I'm paying attention to the number to see if I need to maybe do a little bit more outreach to make sure that people are aware. If they say no, they say no. We're not going to force anybody to do something they don't want to do, but I'm just paying attention to that, and I just want to alert you guys to that situation.
We discussed that at our meeting this morning, and we are making phone calls to all the numbers we have. We have quite a few phone numbers for all the residents out there, so we're going to make phone calls directly to them and ask if they want it. Obviously, we can't force them, but we'll make that contact so we can make sure everybody is aware.
And that's part of what I appreciate that's happening. The other part is I know that we're taking out now 1.75. Do you have a balance of what's left in that budget?
Then that reserve is different than the budget.
Oh, yeah, in that reserve, since we're pulling it from the reserve. I know at one point we had 4 million. I thought we added another million in there in our last
Just over 5 million
budget.
before taking this out.
So it was just over 5 million? Okay, that's what I thought. So 1.75 leaves about 3.25. Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Anything further from the board at this point? Not seeing any. I'll go ahead, Mr. Carter.
Because the filtrations were brought up, I did want to say that in reaching out, we have ordered 100, and we plan on ordering it probably at least 50 more. So even with the expenses we have, it's only a piece of the puzzle.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and open it up to the public. If you could state your name for the record, and you'll have 3 minutes.
Good afternoon, Tom Lasek. I attended the Wednesday meeting. I thought, congratulations, or thank you for what the Sheriff's Department has been doing. One of the things I am concerned about is that on the filtration system, the city manager for Clear Lake mentioned that they weren't going to, that the responsibility for ongoing maintenance for those filtration systems were on the resident. And also earlier in that his report, he said that the recovery process could take several months. I would respectfully suggest to assume that until the situation is back to baseline, whatever that is, that the county will probably end up having to pay for additional lamps and filters. And those can be, I don't know what the cost is, but it could be somewhat pricey. That tends to be a typical liability thing. So at least from a contingency standpoint, you should bake that into your forecast. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have anyone else in the room? Okay, we have online Sterling. If you state your name, please, again for the record, you'll have 3 minutes.
Yes, my name is Sterling Wellman. I did email you guys this morning or last night about some transparency with the special districts. I appreciate that the sheriff's office is actually stepping up and doing what it needs to take care of our community members through this bill. But $1.75 million does not equivalent to 3,900 gallons of raw sewage that contaminated the water or the aquifer. I'm going to still sit here and ask you guys to, that motion I gave you guys last week, You only need one person to be able to pick up that motion, another one to second it, and 3 of you guys to vote on it to get the transparency of what actually the correct raw sewage amount that affected that aquifer, because 3,900 gallons wouldn't affect an aquifer that expands about 300 acres, if not to 500 acres. We wouldn't have to be buying all these filtration systems if it was only 3,900 gallons. So we are requesting the board to sit here and hold special districts accountable. Those pumps go off. We need to know when they went off. If they even had 30 pumper trucks, they had to come from out of county. How long did it take for them to get here to pump Station 1 and Lift Station 2? Because if we turn those off, like I explained last week, you would have backup somewhere else in the county that was not, in Clear Lake, that was not documented. So even with 30 pumper trucks just pumping Lift Station 1 and 2, saying it's around 30 to 45-minute trip, you would still need probably about 20 to 30 more lift trucks, the pumper trucks, to pump what they stated was pumped off the ground. So I am just requesting that you guys actually step forward and hold them accountable and give the people the transparency that they deserve. Because if we're spending $1.75 million, it's way more than 3,900 gallons. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything further online? Cassandra, if you please state your name for the record, you'll have 3 minutes.
Hello, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Good morning, supervisors. My name is Cassandra Holbert. I want to thank the board for bringing forward this item and recognizing that additional funding and streamlined processes are necessary. I support this action. I do want to emphasize that as these funds are being made available, it is vital that they translate into visible on-the-ground progress for residents. Today marks 31 days since the spill occurred, and I want to note for the record that tank installation and access to clean water has slowed down, while there are still residents who do not have tanks or reliable access to safe water. An emergency is defined not just when it begins, but whether the response is still actively meeting residents' needs. When installations pause while impact persists, it creates a gap between the emergency declaration and the lived reality of these residents. I respectfully ask that this funding be prioritized for direct resident impacts, water access, mitigation, testing, and clear communication, and that progress be regularly communicated so that the public can see how these resources are actually being deployed. Thank you.
Thank you for those comments. Anything further? No more hands. Bring it back to the board, Supervisor Sabatier.
Couple of things. Yes, there's been a lot of confusion on the report. It was stated at 2.9 million gallons. The 3,900 has been pretty consistent of what went into the waterways. Some math happened where what was taken by the vac trucks versus what was spilled. As far as I'm concerned, 3,900 gallons went into the waterways and 2.9 million gallons spilled out of the pipeline. I'm just going to leave it at that. The rest of the numbers, it's probably the state wants to find out what we did and what was sucked out. So further explanations will be needed. I am not making any special requests right now for the spill itself until we're done with this emergency, because I think helping the people is the number one thing that we need to do, not explain why it happened. That needs to come after the fact, and it will not be forgotten. So I just want to reiterate, I stated this to a couple of folks at the last town hall. I am not here to take people away from the job that they need to be doing so they can give us an explanation to feel good and still be in the exact same position we're in. I need people to continue to do the work that they're currently doing. It does create frustration that things are slow. I wish Canada was a little closer, and I wish there wasn't the issue of supply chain and the process to get these things here. And so unfortunately, it is creating that feel of slowing down. Right now, we're hurrying up to wait, and that sucks, especially for those that still don't have anything connected. And so I would say if you are in a situation where you don't have a tank and you don't have water, please reach out to me. I'm able to help some of the folks. I am in communication with the team, and I appreciate the fact that I'm able to communicate with you guys. And I think that most of the time we can find good resolutions for everybody. And so please reach out to me if you can. My phone number is everywhere, including our website.
Anything further from the board?
And my final thing is, hopefully we can create a level of transparency for the funds. You have that right in front of us, right in front of you. I know you've shared that with me. It would be nice if we can maybe package it up and show people how the money is being spent. I'm not in a huge rush for that, but if that's a possibility, I would like to make that possible to add on to the City of Clear Lake's website just to show the folks.
I think we're ready for action, unless there's anything further from staff.
Mr. Chair, I offer a resolution.
Resolution's been offered.
Supervisor Owen?
Yes.
Supervisor Sabatier?
Aye.
Supervisor Crandall?
Aye.
Supervisor Pyska?
Yes.
And Supervisor Rasmussen?
Aye. The resolution passes. Thank you. I appreciate you guys' work on this.
Thank you, board.
Thanks, you guys.
We're going to move on to our 7.7,
Thank you, guys.
Our 7.7, I'm going to read it out. Consideration of a request to close health services all day on April 9th, 26, August 13th, 26, and October 15th, 26 for essential all-staff training. And I believe we have a request to pull this item.
We, excuse me, thank you, Chair, we request to pull this item because the attachment was not posted with the agenda. So it will be brought forward at a future date.
Thank you. Any discussion from the board? Not hearing anybody. Any member of the public wish to make any statements about whether or not we pull this? Not hearing any. No hands to bring it back to, go ahead, Supervisor.
Just a brief comment, and I made this comment in my conversation with the CAO this week. I think maybe having a conversation about office closure. I would like to be a little bit more predictable about office closures and maybe having a more strategic way of allowing our staff. I think it's good to have training, but I think it's also good for the public to be very well aware ahead of time. And I think this is one of the easy ways to find out if you're paying attention to our board agendas. And it's just, I don't know, I feel like there needs to be a deeper conversation about what is our process for office closures, when is it available, and how can we coordinate in a more county fashion rather than individual department fashion.
I recall we did talk about that, so I agree with looking into that. Hearing nothing further, we'll go ahead and pull that item. And I need to find out what the time estimate on 7.6 is for this item. I don't know that we're going to hear it yet.
I was thinking 15, 20 minutes.
Okay, we're going to have to hold off on it because we're going to have to move back into closed within a few minutes.
Sounds fine.
So if you could stand by, thank you. And then I'm going to move on. I think I can handle 7.9 in a few minutes before we move to closed. And this is my item. I'll go ahead and introduce it. What's going on with this is you're familiar with that ranch in the Lakeport area. They approached me. They're going to be doing a America 250-year celebration for our community that is intended to be inclusive of our entire community. It will, of course, honor our veterans, our military, our first responders, but it's also meant to honor all of our community in the 250-year birthday of America. During this ceremony, they're going to be raising a giant American flag at their very large flagpole that they have. And at the base of that, they're going to be installing a bronze plaque, which is, again, meant to represent all of our community. And because they want it to be inclusive of the whole community, they want it to have some kind of a seal on it in addition to their insignia with the flag. And they had chosen a request to put the county seal on it, because that is inclusive of all of our agencies, all of our people in the county, where they're not going to be able to put 20 or 30 different seals on there from participating agencies. So that's the request. I feel comfortable with it, but this is not a decision that can be made outside the entire Board of Supervisors. There is no clear ordinance on really making decisions like this, but what it comes down to is it needs to be a decision by the whole board if we're going to have our seal on something like this. And I have included for the board and the public the image of what the plaque looks like, the language on there, and I'll leave it at that for the summary. And we have a question from Supervisor Sabatier.
Yeah, I do appreciate you bringing this, and please listen to the full comment before you judge my comment. I don't think we should ever provide our seal for someone else to use, but I think we should support this. I think that we should maybe even have a larger conversation of what are we doing as a county for the 250th anniversary of the United States. And so I would like us to approve moving forward and us paying for the plaque and provide that plaque for that rather than allowing someone else to use our seal, because I think at that point we start saying who do we trust with the seal and who do we not trust with the seal, and I'm not sure that that's a judgment call we should be making. I think they're very trustworthy. I think they're doing great stuff in the community, but I think we should be participants rather than a very passive participant, because it's not that much in funding, and I think it just protects us to participate in that way rather than saying you have the authorization to use our seal.
So what you're saying is you're okay using it if we pay for it, we sponsor the plaque, and then we have placed it there.
Because, I mean, we give proclamations out all the time. It has our seal on it, but it's coming from us. We're not giving them the authority to use the seal on their thing. And so again, it's America's 250th birthday. What are we doing? I think we should have that conversation, and this could be something that we support in one of the things that we do.
Okay, Supervisor Pyska.
I think I like the plaque, how it's designed. I like the seal. I think giving permission is good. I don't know if I agree with paying for the plaque because it's private property. It's not open to the public, and I think that's just my difficulty of like I'm happy to support it as is, but if this was in a park or someplace that was accessible to the public, it would be a different story. But because it is private property, and because it's in a place where you would pay to visit, I don't think it's appropriate for us to pay for it.
Okay, anything further from the board at this point? Then before we discuss further, I'll go ahead and open it up to the public. Is there anyone in the room who wishes to comment on this? No hands on. Betsy, go ahead and unmute, and you can speak for 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is Betsy Kahn. I think if it's going to be sponsored by a private entity, no matter how magnificent the intent, I do not believe that the county seal should be on that. I think it should be on those artifacts that are presented by the county itself. And yes, we should do something for that birthday. But this is a private enterprise, and I don't think it's quite kosher to endorse it with the county seal. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything further? Okay, go ahead.
Tom Lacey, just as a suggestion or maybe as perspective, it was mentioned that the board provides proclamations that have the seal on it. In theory, those proclamations are probably brought home and are on private households similarly. So I think it's really a good discussion to have about how the seal is properly used to make sure, the county's endorsing things. I think the concern is well founded. It is on private property, but so are, the decrees that we see handed out and things of that nature. I do think maybe a way forward, because it does sound like a really good thing, and they do sound like a magnificent organization, is to fund the effort, and that gets us out of the legal tangle and the appearance of impropriety. Thank you.
Well, thank you. And it looks like there's no further, so I'll close public comment. I was comfortable with doing it this way, otherwise I wouldn't have brought it to the board, but go ahead.
No, I was thinking about it and I just taken it all into consideration. And I feel like since it is going to be private, I mean, I'm good either way, but what I really want to say is that if it's going to come to us each time when we're considering something like this, I mean, it's a case-by-case scenario. There could be a group that's bringing it to us that we definitely know, that wouldn't be a good idea. But so for me, I'm okay with this one and just going forward with it as it is. I think they're going to use it for the right reasons. And I do think about what Betsy said, though, also, but not in that context. I think about it in a context of it's 2100 or 2100, and they look back or something like that. It's 2090, and they're looking back, and I don't know what could happen from that point on. But when you think about, did the county pay for it, and then we get into this argument, I'm just kind of doing that one thing rabbit hole. But either way, if we come back here and we discuss it and decide if we're going to allow it or not, I'm fine with it.
Well, that's a good point. I think because there's no real solid precedent or law regarding this, we're going to have to look at every situation. But I do also like the idea that as a county, we should be doing something as well for America's 250th birthday. I think we're going to have to bring that back as a separate discussion because it's not in front of us. But at this point, I don't want to, this is time sensitive. That's why it's in front of you today, because it takes time to get those. And this is coming up May 2nd, and we still certainly have time to bring something else back. Go ahead. I'll go ahead and take one more comment, even though it was closed. Lisa?
Thank you. This is Lisa Wilson in Clear Lake. I support Bruno's suggestion that private enterprises should not use the county seal. I also support the idea that the county should figure out something to celebrate our 250th celebration. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, Supervisor Owen.
I'm for them having the seal there on that property, and I think it does need to be addressed by case. I don't have a problem whether we provide it is a great idea, or whether they pay for it, make a donation to us or something for it, or something along those lines. As far as the next step, I would like to see us do something for the 250th also, but closer to the 4th of July. So closer to the actual date it would be, and that would give us enough time to really plan something nice. So I think I would like to see that put on the agenda so we can start discussing it. And I don't know if we want to have an ad hoc or if we want to have a committee to kind of start looking into what we're going to do, whether we're going to do something countywide or if we're going to do something like here in Lakeport, or how we're going to handle it.
We'll figure out bringing that back.
Yes.
For that portion of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so if we have action on this item, is there?
The question, I think we're all for it. The question is whether we're going to buy it or whether they're going to pay for it.
Well, we're going to have a motion or no motion.
I'll make the motion as is.
Go
for
ahead.
you. Okay. I'll approve, Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the use of the county seal for a plaque celebrating 250 years of America and the patriots of Lake County's communities to be installed at that ranch.
Second.
So I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
Motion carries 4-1. Thank you. We'll go ahead and close that item, and we're going to move back into closed session. We call our open session back to order at 4:05, and we're going to move on to our 7.6 untimed item, which is consideration of a request for board direction regarding establishing regulations for short-term rentals and low-impact camping. And with that, I'll turn it over to Director Turner.
Thank you, Mireya Turner, Community Development Director. The board requested that I bring to you the topic of short-term rentals because it's about time. We do have two things in our code, bed and breakfast and bed and breakfast inn. But years ago, as the online platforms, the vacation rental platforms started to develop and gain in popularity, it was for whole house use. Which has sort of come to the forefront. Neither of the bed and breakfast or the bed and breakfast inn options allow for a whole house rental. And so we started years ago having questions from people who were trying to do things right and get their permits, ask about a permit so they could join Airbnb. And the planning division unfortunately had to tell them we don't have any option in our zoning ordinance to allow for that type of a usage. So I appreciate that the board finally said, hey, let's start looking at this land use matter to try to bring our code up to date. And our staff reviewed, I think, 11 different examples of jurisdictions, both cities and counties, of short-term rental policies. And they really kind of ran the gamut. You've got some jurisdictions that are really hands-off, let the market decide. Others are highly regulatory. And so I sort of just, instead of giving you a 11-column table, I kind of just summarized it in the things that are listed in your staff report of basic types of criteria that are regulated and what we found in that research. And so typically you'll see it could be in any zoning district that allows for residential. You do have principal residence options and some jurisdictions which are still only in not quite whole house options, but rather shared or in a primary residence. The term of permit changed anything from 1 year to 7 years. Maximum of stay varies by district. Signage was all pretty much the same, very minimal signage. You can identify your house as this is a vacation rental, but you didn't want a lot of flashy stuff, which is great since most of these are located in your residential neighborhoods and you want to maintain the quiet residential character. Parking, we saw some jurisdictions that limited the short-term rentals availability by the amount of parking that was available. Because one of the conflicts we've seen arise just in general, anecdotally, is people using a house as a vacation rental. 95 people all join in for this really large house, and there's 2 parking spots. And so they're overflowing into the road, impeding traffic, causing a problem. Oops, excuse me. One other criteria I noted reading all those different ordinances was the jurisdiction really stressed an extended or public outreach effort in order to bring together people from different parts of the industry, as well as residents, as well as members of the public, all that come together to talk about where do we want these? How many do we want total? Do we want a number which is a percentage of our overall housing stock that we have available? Or do we want to regulate it by community? And so that process and that outreach helped to sort of guide those recommendations and ended up guiding those guidelines. I would recommend that the board establish an ad hoc committee. I can understand that we're sort of playing catch up with our land use regulations to sort of address an industry that is already present. And I know that our treasurer tax collector is also parallel bringing to you updates to address the transient occupancy tax also. So this is a great time for us to get moving on this, but I do recommend that the board establish an ad hoc committee so that we can start with a very strong basis of what our residents want and what our business owners are looking for. Should the board be interested, I made a suggestion of members of the ad hoc committee, and I would prefer it to be an ad hoc committee that is based out of community development rather than the more cumbersome ones that include supervisors and have to be Brown Act and all that stuff. But and so it would include a representative from our tourism improvement district, one of our local chambers of commerce, fire chiefs, housing specialist, business association. We have a number of local business associations. Any one of them would be great. And maybe a short-term rental owner. And I didn't write it down, but maybe a public, just a member of the public who is interested, but doesn't own a short-term rental. Also open to any other ideas that the board may have. One suggestion in a conversation I had with Supervisor Pyska was to make sure that we have EH involved, because some of our remote vacation areas may not have suitable water and sewer. And so we want to make sure that that's covered. So I know EH is really strapped. And if the board didn't have an EH representative on the ad hoc, we would definitely make sure that any recommendations were passed through that group, that division of health services. So I welcome board input on this as far as two things I'm interested in: yes or no on ad hoc, and if yes, are there any categories I may have missed? And then secondarily, a timeline, because as you know, we are ramping up again to a pretty intense period as we finish our Lake County 2050 general plan. We anticipate the public document release either end of this week or beginning of next week, with the public review period, which includes all of those LAPAC, GPAC, and Municipal Advisory Committee meetings in March and April. And I'll hand it back to you for your input.
Okay, I believe Supervisor Pyska was first.
Very happy to see this. Thank you very much. And for me, the timeline, I'm happy waiting until summer, which is what it looks like your recommendation is. So the ad hoc committee would look at both the ordinance for the camping and short-term rental, correct?
Actually, I had two different ad hoc committees in mind. We can combine them if you like, but some of the low-impact camping is really not relevant to the short-term rentals, whereas those are in homes. Low-impact camping, as I'll describe on the second part of this item, looks pretty different.
Okay. It might be the same partners, though.
Some of them would overlap, yeah. And so if the board would like me to just synthesize them into one ad hoc, but I'm happy to do that.
I'm fine with one, and if it makes it easier for everyone involved.
Okay.
But I think we really need to lead with the ad hoc, the success. So, I mean, I know there's lots of ordinances out there, but every community is different, and our county is different than every other county. So I think making the success of these ordinances are going to be community-based, because I have a short-term rental 2 doors down. I don't have a single problem with them. I never have, but I could see where there are problems arise. I also use short-term rentals all over the country, all over the world all the time. It's a really great way to travel. So we need to have an ordinance that works with the people that live in all of our neighborhoods. And so it's a great way to start. So that's just my thought. I'm fine with waiting until summer when you have some more availability. I think for ease, one committee can look at both ordinances. And I don't think environmental health is necessarily needs to be part of it. I just think we need to have standards. So I am aware of listings where there's not a water supply, or there's a water supply that's not regulated, and I have a hard time if people want to live there, then they know what's going on with their water. That's one thing. But if you have guests coming in and they don't know that their water is not treated, that I think could be a problem. And so I'm, obviously not going to make a decision on that today, but it's something for the group to consider, us to consider, how we want, 'cause these are visitors that are coming into our county. We want to make sure they're having a good experience and not having a unpleasant experience with a situation that they might not know about. So those are my thoughts.
All right, Supervisor Owen, and then we'll go to Supervisor Crandall.
I'm excited about this. I had spoke with Cassandra with the HIP camp, whom I know you also spoke with.
Mike?
Oh, Mike, sorry. Okay. I had spoke with Cassandra with HIP camp a few different times. I know I'd met her down in San Jose in December. And then since then, we've spoke a few times on the phone. And I kind of picked her brain again yesterday. I know that Harvest Host and HIP Camp are already both operating here in county. So the state regulations, I think, just for a basic layout, I think that they're pretty well put together. I was talking to Cassandra to see if there was, like where they've seen issues in the past. And I would like to keep things as simple and basic as possible myself. If we did something like just require a business license and then they sign up for their TOT tax, I think that would probably be sufficient. And according to Cassandra, that was one of the things she had mentioned. The number of people per sites, and then we already have standards for setbacks.
Actually, Cassandra is online, and she was going to speak to the next portion of this item,
okay,
which is the
okay.
low-impact camping.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
I'll get to that in just a moment.
Oh, okay. She had said, but I wasn't sure if she was still online because I didn't see her come up. So I know that it varied a lot, and she had, I believe, sent you some statistics on San Bernardino and all the different counties. I would like to keep it as simple as possible with the low impact, depending on whether if they've got a self-contained unit with bathrooms, or whether we have to, say, for instance, the public had to provide porta potties would be sufficient on that. If it's dry camp, then they usually are expected to bring their own water. So I think a lot of that is already drawn out in the state regulations.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think there's a lot to do. I would like to see it in place and where we can start accepting that ASAP. I think people usually are camping by April, May, depending on the year. So I would like to see this. I don't think there's a lot of work to do. Other than checking with the setbacks, if there's something different, because there was a wide variety in setbacks pertaining to
I was going to
different
cover
counties.
that actually after I got your input on short-term rentals.
Okay.
In particular, if you had any concern with combining the two ad hoc committees into one.
Well, the only thing I would say about that is I would rather this stand separate so that we can get it through. I think that there's less work to do because it's already been laid out at the state, how it can concur. So the regulations, everything's already done for us. It's just if we have to tweak something.
Should the board like, I can move on to the low-impact camping portion.
I want to let supervisors
Thank you.
go first. Supervisor Crandall?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, I'm glad this is coming to the board for this. Been looking at a short-term rental ordinance for quite some time. I think I went up with Patrick, and if we had an ad hoc committee, they would be part of it, right? I think I heard you say that, yeah.
Well, we would synchronize with Patrick. His is coming from the taxation side, and mine's more from the land use side. So we don't really have a lot of overlap, but we'd make sure that it worked together.
Yeah, in one ordinance anyhow, so it's important. And we've looked at, I think a couple years back I met with, it was Granicus, I think it was. What was the other group called that we had?
Ooh.
We had OpenGov, but what was the one
But,
before?
Deckert's Technologies, I think, also was working with that, which the tax collector brought on board. And those are the ones that actually started showing you the statistics about how many active short-term rentals we do have in the county.
Yeah. And so that's what they showed, was the amount that we had, the amount that were active, and then the amount that more than likely weren't paying any types of taxes or fees or anything like that. So I think it's something I don't want to rush anything, but I mean, I think we've needed this for quite some time, but I don't want to rush it and then it gets stuck again. So however we need to do it, I'm in favor of doing it and helping.
All right.
Go ahead.
Supervisor Crandall,
Nope.
I'll wait.
Okay.
I have one more kind of reason I'd like to see this not combined, to be able to speed it up. I do have a project that's coming forward that is, no, it's probably going to be too big to fit in here, because this one I think caps it at 9 or 12 spaces, 9 spaces, where the other one is like 104, and that would be the Langtree, and that would be short-term rentals, but they're kind of on a time crunch for funding reasons.
We are processing their permit. Yes,
Thank you.
absolutely.
All right, I'm going to hold my comments for now. You go ahead and move on to the next portion.
So Part B, low impact camping. Assembly Bill 518 became law in 2025. The goal is to offer a lower impact camping experience that would then be exempt from a number of the special occupancy park requirements, which the state had been hearing from constituents was cost prohibitive. And so this is a great opportunity for an existing vineyard manager, orchard manager, an agriculturally used property, a remote property like rural lands or timber preserve zone property, to have a no more than 9 site camping site. It can be anywhere from 1 to 9. The parcel where it's located can be no less than 2 acres in size, so 2 acres or larger, and each acre would allow you a campsite. So a 2 acre property would only allow for 2 campsites, but 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, maxing at 9, and then so on for the larger properties, still maxing at 9. Of those properties, or of the 9 campsites, no more than 4 could be occupied by an RV, but the others could be glamping, tent camping, things like that. The law itself it's not mandatory that jurisdictions enact this, but it gave the jurisdictions an opportunity to create a framework with baseline regulations that it was spelled out, and which I included in the staff report. Additional restrictions could be applied should the jurisdiction feel it's necessary. And let's see. And so I did attend the webinar led by Hip Camp. That was just one of the proponents. And Cassandra Vasilakis is present online to help fill out any gaps or answer questions the board may have. So if the board is interested, which it sounds like, in enacting this option for our folks, then the same questions or direction would be appreciated, either the same ad hoc and also timeline, given the significant activities we have going on already in CDD.
Bring it back to supervisors, and go ahead, Supervisor Sabatier.
So I may be a odd man out here. We just had a conversation earlier that we are hopefully going to have before the end of the month, if not early March. We still have ag road standards. We still have cannabis. We still have 25th. I feel we're adding on top of things that I'm not seeing getting accomplished yet. And I know some of them it's a matter of time, but I don't feel it is a good thing to add something when I'm not seeing things getting done that we've added on the list a long time ago. I know we're saying summer, but what's the purpose of putting it on the list, if not maybe a little bit later and saying, let's put it on the list because now we're ready. And so I think that while some individuals may have some issues with individual situations with Airbnbs, I don't think it's a tragedy what's happening out there right now, and it's not like we're stopping people from being able to do their stuff, and we shouldn't be. Just because we shouldn't get in the way at this moment in time. If somebody wants to rent their house, I don't think there's anything that says that you can't. Just because it doesn't say that you can doesn't necessarily mean that you can't. We can get to that later when we're ready. For the low impact camping, I'm very interested. I just, again, when and where and how, I would love, as Supervisor Owen mentioned, just the simplest process of just saying, yes, we're doing AB 5, sorry, it's not right.
518.
518. And then maybe a little bit later, we can say, here are some of the additional restrictions based on what we've learned that we want to go ahead and apply as a regulation for it. But at this moment in time, especially with our last conversation that we had and prior conversations that we've had, I don't know why we're adding more to the list when I'm not seeing the list diminishing. And I feel I just had this conversation with Greg Folsom, and he said something to me a long time ago when I was a council member. I don't understand capacity. And I'm thinking that at this moment in time, as a board, we don't understand capacity if we are going to keep adding more when we are not checking things off the list. And I don't want to do that to you. I don't want to do that to your department. In fact, I'm a little sad in how much work you've already done, because I don't feel that that direction was directly provided to bring this back. Maybe I live in a different world and I understood something else. But the amount of work that's gone into this when there's so many other things that we're trying to get accomplished is, I think we need to slow down and we need to check things off the list before we extend the list further.
And I think that might be an old pen, Supervisor Ryan, or is
I did put it back up, but go ahead and take her
Go ahead,
first.
Supervisor Pyska.
We did ask for this because we have compliance issues. We have one counter on the third floor giving folks information that is very different than another counter on the second floor giving folks information. And so we did give direction to Director Turner to help us make sure that we are we're not that we are consistent, and having a short-term ordinance brings that consistency, because there are pretty serious inconsistencies right now. And we do need to wait until she does have capacity. And if that's this summer, it's the summer. If it gets pushed, it gets pushed. But we do need to put it on the list, fully understanding it's not at the top of the list. So that's where I am. And I think, I'm super excited about low impact camping. I've also had some really great experiences camping out on cattle ranches and doing all kinds of really fun things that you can't do without this type of ordinance. However, I've accidentally also gotten into a camping situation in a paper subdivision in the middle of nowhere. And I don't think that that's what we want either. So the thing that I said to Cassandra when I had a call with her is, let's make it the easiest way that we can to have an ordinance where people can comply. And I think that's what I hear from my colleagues too, is we don't want to make this difficult, we want to make this easy. But that does not go without increasing your workload. And so I really feel like we need to put this on the list. It is not at the top, it's closer to the bottom, and when we have capacity, we can move forward. But we do have to be realistic about capacity.
Supervisor Owen.
I was just going to ask if it would be possible to adopt the state's version so that we can get going, and then deal with any changes at a later time. It's already written out there as far as removing the garbage, et cetera, how many acres. I could see us maybe moving it from 2 to 5 at a later time, but for right now, and it already has 200-foot setbacks from residents. So there's a lot of information in there already. The work's been done for us. What is the feeling here? Do we want to go with the state's version and then make adjustments later when we have the time?
If I could make a recommendation, I would split the two, short-term rental and low-impact camping.
Yes.
Low-impact camping, instead of an ad hoc, let's have a meeting. Farm Bureau has already said they'd be happy to participate. I'd like to have at least a meeting with the minimum standards that are set out by the state to see if the fire chiefs and the Farm Bureau probably Ag Commissioner and Tourism Improvement District. If they have no concerns, I'd be happy to whip up that ordinance and bring it back to the board. Short-term rentals, I would encourage us to have an ad hoc and a little bit more formal, only to answer some of the questions that I think will ease the way for consideration of that when it does come back to you. As far as timeline and capacity, and boy, do I appreciate that this board is concerned about that. Article 27 is scheduled to come before you on March 3rd, because we had to wait until we had all three of you, and it's a 20-day notice period instead of a 10-day notice period. Anyway, it's coming on March 3rd. We're already working on 73 to get a rough draft to get to county council. Not sure when that's going to be done. I did have a meeting with the Ag Advisory Committee, and then a subsequent meeting with Public Works on the Ag Road Standards, and have a proposal for that I am happy to bring to the board as just sort of a memo. Basically, I'd like to turn it over to the road experts to integrate into what is now an active update for all their road and design standards. To just hand it over to them, and they'll add it in. But anyway, that's not on your agenda. I could feel Lloyd looking at me. So back to what we have before us. That is the appreciation. I can move faster with the low impact camping, since the regulation is already very straightforward and minimal. And then take a little longer time, maybe starting at the end of April. So whatever month comes after April, May, June, this summer can start with short-term rental ad hoc committee and get that moving, because I do feel that is urgent. We can't continue to have this conflict between land use regulation and taxation. So I'm excited to get started on that, and we will have completed our public input period for Lake County 2050. Things will go back to the writing team on that aspect. Until it comes back to you in the fall. So that's a good gap right in the summer to move forward with short-term rentals.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, my thoughts are, these are both important. They go to our economic development, but at the same time, I've already heard the comments and I agree, there's other major priorities that we have to get done first. So I don't want to put a deadline and all that on here. I just want to get it, if we approve it, get it on the list so we can work on it when we can work on it. I also think that I'm not in favor of combining the two, because I think the low impact camping is much, much easier, as has already been said, to deal with. So I don't want to tie that part of it up with the short-term rental, because I think there's going to be a lot more complexities with that one and a lot more public weigh in. I think this other one's a lot easier. So that's where I sit on, separating them out, and if we approve them, they're on the list. But
with the understanding that I'm sorry, I didn't mean
no, it's
to over
okay
for you.
Yeah.
But with the understanding that the priority is 27, Article 73, our fiscal updates and those decisions moving forward, and Lake County 2050 public review period.
I think that's what we're hearing from the board. I don't know if there's anything else, but those and anything else that we missed that's a priority, I think those are the critical ones. We're just, the way I look at it today, if we approve it, we're getting it on the list.
Yes.
For authorization to work on it when we can. So that's my comment. Is there anything further from the board? Do you want to, I don't see anything further. Do you want to offer anything from the folks that are online, or?
I don't know if Cassandra would have anything to add. I think we've pretty much captured.
Yeah, and we did get a lot of public comment. We did get public comment from Cassandra, so she'll certainly be able to speak in public comment when we open it up.
I know there's an e-comment waiting from the Farm Bureau also in strong support.
Okay, yeah, I believe I know we had several, so.
Yeah, I believe that the farm camping is one of the things that I think that we're kind of looking at in this area.
Anything further from the board before I open it to public? Not seeing any. I'm going to go ahead and open it up to the public. And the room is not very busy. Is there anybody in the room? Not seeing any. I think it's all going to be online. What was that? Lisa, we're going to unmute you. If you could state your full name for the record, and you'll have 3 minutes.
Thank you. My name is Lisa Wilson. I live in Clear Lake. Last night, I attended a meeting of the Government Affairs Committee of the Lake County Chamber of Commerce. In that meeting, support for AB 518, low-impact camping, was affirmed. The Lake County Chamber of Commerce supports AB 518 and urges careful implementation of a clear, workable ordinance that is accessible for landowners and right-sized for low-impact recreation. I will be the chamber representative when the ad hoc committee is formed. You also have my personal comments of support on record. I see that staff has a timeline that suggests ad hoc meetings would not start earlier than summer 2026. I encourage a further stipulation that meetings start no later than October 2026. Let's ensure that the work gets done in a timely manner. I also support 2 separate committees for short-term rentals and the low-impact camping. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Guest, if you could state your name for the record, and you'll have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Angela Amaral. I have to agree with Supervisor Crandall that this is long overdue. Also have to agree with Supervisor Sabatier on capacity, and with Supervisor Pyska that some communities have different views. Living in an area that does not allow for commercial uses, there have been several instances of residents opposing short-term rentals in our area. Local zoning in some areas do consider short-term rentals a commercial use, and this has split court decisions on this topic. As Supervisor Owen suggested, maybe a business license requirement may satisfy this. Another issue could be that the insurance coverage, standard homeowner policy coverage for short-term rental uses sometimes often exclude short-term rental, so that's something that also needs to be looked at. I would like to ask that if there are any desires, I know it's going to be it sounds like it's going to be a meeting and not an ad hoc committee, but I would like communication with local communities that have CCNRs be considered as well, because this will affect us. And so if there's any desire to either add a position for a HOA, POA representative, there's several in the county. I don't know how the other ones are dealing with it, but I know the issues that we're having. So I'd just like to put that out there. Thank you.
Thank you. Cassandra, go ahead.
Hi there, can you hear me?
Yes.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for the opportunity to comment on this item. My name is Cassandra Pren-Vasilakis. I support government and community relations at HipCamp. I really appreciate the board's attention to low-impact camping. HipCamp did work on the state legislation in close partnership with a coalition of folks, including the California Farm Bureau Federation and a number of outdoor recreation organizations, chambers of commerce, rural counties, and other agricultural associations. So we're excited to see the county's attention to this topic. And I just want to offer myself as a resource. We work very closely with counties across the state. And if there's anything that we can do to be supportive of this conversation in Lake County, please don't hesitate to ask. Thank you so much for your attention to this.
Thank you. No more hands. I'm going to go ahead and close public comment and bring it back to the board. Doesn't appear we have anything further from the board. Do we have direction?
I would like to actually volunteer if you want somebody, if you need some help with this.
So I think we need to give direction. From what I was hearing is that that we want to work on it, but I'm not sure if we're clear on all the direction that we wanted to. What I was hearing is that we wanted to work on this, but not put a priority timeline on it. There's clearly many other priorities that need to get addressed. It sounded like we had consensus to split these apart, to work on them two different parts. Am I missing anything?
Nope.
No. Do you have questions on
Would you like me to tell you what I think you told me?
Yes.
Like, just to make
please.
sure I got it?
Yeah.
Okay, we're separating short-term rentals and low-impact camping. We'll establish an ad hoc committee for short-term rentals. We will have maybe a meeting with some people for the low-impact camping. They're both a priority, and we will work on them as we can. Probably the low-impact camping will come back to you sooner, because that's probably going to require less public outreach, and then work on them as we can, which is me working on them, because I won't have staff do it. And as we can, given the priorities that we do have in existence, which is our fiscal situation and the Article 72, Article 73, and Lake County 2050 public review period process.
I think that's the direction, and I'm not hearing any other correction. Go ahead, Mr. County Counsel.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So your board may want to clarify for Director Turner as far as the ad hoc committee for the short-term rental, if your board approves the proposed membership that was referenced in the memo for that ad hoc committee.
That would be the TID, a representative, and a local chamber, fire chiefs, a housing specialist. I was thinking somebody from the COC. A local business association, and a short-term rental owner, and a member of the public.
I think there was also a request for HOAs because they're having issues in some of them apparently. Is that something you're willing to?
I can add an HOA representative, sure.
What's the thinking on the COC?
We don't. Well, okay, so the housing specialist, my thought was the short-term rentals you want to make sure isn't going to overall impact a significant part of our housing stock, because one of the problems we've heard anecdotally is that there are so many short-term rentals, particularly in areas where tourism is a significant pull to the properties, that these short-term rentals are no longer available in the housing stock for people to live in for more than 30 days. And that has been a negative impact that I'm only assuming our board wants to avoid.
Okay.
And so that's why I was thinking a housing specialist. It could be something else. I'm absolutely open to ideas.
Oh, no, I was just asking. I just
Yeah.
didn't. 'Cause
I feel that if somebody owns a house, they have the right to do what they want with it.
Supervisor?
I think that's a difficult statement, because I think that it also creates other problems that we are dealing with where there's a lack of housing, and the lack of housing creates an increase in rent. It's just a supply and demand situation. And so I think we just need to do it right. I just want to speak up because of the COC that you mentioned. I don't want to volunteer somebody, and I'll check in with the COC, but I know that Lisa Judd always participates in the COC, and I think she has an expertise
I think that's a great
in
idea.
housing versus anybody else in the COC. There's a lot of caring and passionate people in the COC, but I think the expertise or what you're looking for may come from Lisa Judd, but I'll let CAO Parker make the decision whether or not she's available for that ad hoc committee.
That's a great idea.
If she is available, I think she's a good choice,
Mhm.
if that's possible.
Yes, I'll be actually working with her to get the proper data on what our housing stock actually, the most recent housing stock is too. That data will help, I'm sure, to inform the board's decision.
So with that, I think we're good with that makeup,
Excellent.
okay? And we're going to go ahead and close this item.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you for presenting that today. And next, we're going to move into our 7.2 item, consideration of agreement between the County of Lake, acting through Lake County Behavioral Health Services as lead agency for the Lake County Continuum of Care, and North Coast Opportunities Incorporated for rapid rehousing services for fiscal years 25 through 26 and 26 through 27. We have our Deputy Director of Behavioral Health here, and I'll turn it over to you.
Hey, Christine Andrus. So Bruno probably knows more about this one than I do, but this is through the COC. It's a contract with NCO for rapid rehousing, I believe vouchers or whatever they plan on doing with it. But yeah, that's what it's for.
Questions from board members? Supervisor Sabatier?
Yeah, this is through a grant that the COC has received. NCO was I believe, the sole bidder on this. And this is the agreement that's put in front of you. I did have a conversation, and sorry if I'm being slightly cryptic, not sure if I should name names, but with one of the local tribal CBOs. They've been attempting to meet with NCO to make sure that these programs are openly available and with a working relationship to not just the county or possibly the cities, but just to all of Lake County as a whole. And wondering, and I know that this might put a wrench in the wheel, and so looking for opportunities and options on how this can be implemented. But in Exhibit A, which is the scope of services, I believe it's 1.12 that I was looking at, adding 1.10 and saying that contractor will organize a meeting with local tribes and tribal CBOs in order to ensure that rapid rehousing covers the entire county through strengthened collaboration. Just looking to see if that can be added. I don't think that changes anything. It just putting in a request that I've received that I think is, if that is something that was lacking in the past, I want to make sure that it's available because one of our COC population priorities is veterans, seniors, and Native Americans. And so to me, that fits within what the COC, I know the COC did not agree to that. We didn't talk about that, but just looking to see if that's something that we can add here since we are the lead agency of the COC, since the behavioral health is the lead agency.
You want to?
We can make that a change and add that to it.
Okay, Supervisor Pyska?
Yeah, well, I was just wondering, because we have Lisa Judd, who's also COC and NCO and our housing specialist. And so if there, I mean, I'm fine with that addition, but if she's here too and wanted to chime in.
And I'm fine with the addition as well.
Changes nothing on the timeline, the amounts or anything like that.
No.
Anything further from the board? Then I'm going to go ahead and open it up to public before we bring it back. Is there anybody in the room who wishes to speak? Not seeing anyone online? And bring it, what's that?
No hands.
No hands, thank you. Bring it back to the board. And it sounds like we're going to have a motion with a modification.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the agreement between the County of Lake, acting through the Lake County Behavioral Health Services as lead agency for the Lake County Continuum of Care and North Coast Opportunities, Inc. for rapid rehousing services for fiscal years 25-26 and 26-27, and authorize the chair to sign and offer the amendment with the addition of 1.10 in Exhibit A.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That carries 5-0. Thank you. We'll move on to 7.3, which is consideration of amendment number 5 to the agreement between the County of Lake and Community Behavioral Health for specialty mental health services for fiscal years 2023 through 24, 2024 through 2025, and 2025 through 2026. And I'll turn it over to you for presentation.
So community behavioral health is our services that provide all of our psychiatric services, including medications, as well as therapy services. This is part of our fiscal restructure. We're lowering the pass-through rate down to 59% for a fee-for-service only. So it's only for services that are actually rendered will we reimburse them that 59%. And as well as we will not pass those dollars through until those dollars are reimbursed by the state.
Okay. Supervisor Sabatier.
Yeah, I appreciate that policy that was discussed or months ago being put into, I think, multiple of the amendments that we've seen today in our consent agenda is in there. For this one, I've had some concerns on the cost because I know that is still 33% coming out of what we have that we receive either through mental health, MHSA, or through realignment. I don't know the exact bucket it comes out of, but 33% of that comes from our dollars. And that large number is just concerning to me. And also, and I appreciate that there is a license agreement, but at the same time, in reading it, and I'm wondering if maybe Mr. Guintavano can speak to it. I know that you did sign it, but there's certain sections of the license agreement where I get a little concern as to the way we're treating community behavioral health feels a little too much and too close to the way we treat employees. And I know PERS is very particular. So in there, it basically says that they may be able to access the internet or networks as long as they follow the policies. It doesn't say they will, but it says they may, that there will be simple furnishings provided. And all of that I feel is like in that really gray area where I'm just, again, still concerned about this contract. So I appreciate the changes that were made. I do want to at least make that statement. And I'd love to hear from Mr. Guintavano, but at this point, I don't believe that I'm going to be I will not be in support of this amendment.
County Council?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So typically, and this is what I'm looking for now. It's a pretty large contract as far as the initial contract's concerned. That's what I'm looking for. The template provision calling for or recognizing that the independent contractor status, I see it here, section 17 of the initial contract, and I don't believe that's been amended. That specifically identifies the contractor as an independent contractor, as an employee. That is, however, in saying that, that is one factor among several other factors, and some of which Supervisor Sabatier brought up in making a determination on whether or not a contractor, in effect, would be is a true independent contractor or functions more on the employment side of the relationship. But Section 17 of the initial contract does expressly recognize amongst the parties that this is not an employment relationship; it's an independent contractor relationship, and staff can work with the contractor to ensure that more measures are taken so that it would not trend towards an employment relationship, and that goes to what Supervisor Sabatier has raised regarding office space, for instance. Don't know if that's the type of arrangement that we have here under the license, and the extent of which certain access provisions. Don't know if staff may be able to, or behavioral health staff may be able to explain more of the arrangement that they anticipate to have with this contractor under this proposed license.
We do have a license agreement that we just recently put into play. It's still circulating, getting signatures on it. So I'm not sure if that comes to the board or not. But we did the county. We got one from, I think Steven sent us a copy of one, and we went off of that one.
Yeah, I believe that's what's on the attachment, the shared space license agreement.
Okay, there is one there. Okay.
That's the one I was looking at.
Yeah.
Anything further?
And again, apologize for the extra comment. I know it says the term is from September 25th through June 30th for the license agreement. This contract, I believe, started in September of 2023, if I'm correct. Wondering if the term needs to be backdated to that to cover our liability for the use of the building since then, because I know it says that at the bottom where it says this agreement is subject to and incorporates blah, 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 parties dated August 23rd, 2023. But at the top, it only seems to show like it's for this fiscal year. And just kind of wondering if, actually it says September 1st, so maybe it was a typo and it needs to be 2023?
I think because we just did it and just implemented it, we started it with this date, but.
Okay.
Anything further from the board? I don't believe I opened this to public yet, did I? Is there anybody in the room? Not seeing any?
No hands.
No hands, so I'll close public comment and bring it back to the board for possible action.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve amendment number 5 to the agreement between the County of Lake and Community Behavioral Health for the provision of specialty mental health services for fiscal years 2023 to 24 through 2025 to 26, which transitions the compensation methodology to a fee-for-service reimbursement model at 59% of Department of Healthcare Services published Medi-Cal rates effective September 1st, 2025, increases the contract maximum by $9 million for a new total not to exceed amount of $24,600,000 and authorize the chair to sign.
I have a motion. Not hearing a second.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed?
Nay.
I believe that's 3-2. So I believe it passes. Yes. Thank you. And we're going to move on to item 7.4, which is consideration of approval of a transitional rent provider agreement between the Lake County Behavioral Health Services and Partnership Health Plan of California, effective January 1st, 2026, to allow the county to provide transitional rent services under the Medi-Cal Community Supports benefit with no impact to the county general fund. And before you start, I need to check in with Supervisor Crandall.
Yeah, I wanted to see if it was possible if we could postpone this item or table it. I wanted to have time to reach out to the local tribal leaders. Apparently, there is no mechanism that has a regard for tribal health behavioral services, and I would like the tribes to have an opportunity to weigh in when it comes to this. In the Executive Order B1011, for the state, it requires there's a consultation when it comes to things like this. So just wanted to see if there's a possibility. If not, we can go forward from there. But I'd rather have the opportunity to have tribes to be able to weigh in on this.
Do you have a comment on that question? Is that going to cause any issues? Or?
It will postpone us getting the transitional housing rent up and running.
Okay. Let me check in with the rest of the board on Supervisor Crandall's concern. Go ahead, Supervisor Sabatier.
Yeah, just a quick question for you, Supervisor Crandall. Did this go through? Oh, this did not go through an RFP because we're working with Partnership, who's kind of a sole type of thing.
Yeah, Partnership is the primary. It's just an agreement that we will be the sole the provider that will process the rents through transitional housing. So all the ECM providers will refer their clients, the qualified clients, to us, and then we will pass through those rents to Partnership and bill for those services.
And so based on the conversation I was having yesterday with one of the tribal CBOs, this doesn't prohibit other tribal CBOs or tribal councils or other tribes to get their own agreement with Partnership. This does not, and I got an answer from behavioral health about this, that it doesn't, we're not the pipeline for this program. We're just one of the providers of the program, but there is the availability for other providers of that program. Am I correct on that?
So the confusing part is we are the provider for the actual dollar amount. We don't have to be the provider for the ECM portion and the navigation portion. So they are assigned a case manager to navigate that housing process, but we are the actual ones who will pass through those dollars. And we will pay the rent and then bill Partnership for the rent up to 6 months.
Just to clarify my understanding, you're saying we're the ones that hold the dollars and then we're the ones to pass through, meaning anyone else trying to access that program will have to go to behavioral health and we will be the sole pipeline.
We will be the sole pipeline.
I think at that point, I think there needs to absolutely be that conversation. I'm in support of that and seeing if we can come back.
Thank you.
And I'm in support of Supervisor's concerns as well.
Thank you. I reached out to them already, but it was just too short a notice. With the 2 weeks, it gives us time to be able to have them, yeah.
And we just met with Partnership, and they're still in the process of trying to get our agreement so that they can go out there and educate all the ECM providers on how to process it. So.
And Supervisor Crandall, do you have a suggestion on when?
I'm fine with it, like if it's not too much in 2 weeks. I mean, but if it's too much, then we can go another week back. But I'm fine with the next meeting if need be.
So that would be the
If there's room.
the 24th?
Oh, wait, oh, no, I meant, is that the next meeting?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I'm fine with that, but if it has to be the 3rd, I'm good either way, you know.
So the 24th, we'll have only 3 board members, but, yes, go ahead.
I'm in support of this. I just think that it's good to know the implications of the program so that we don't surprise people or pull the rug from under their feet in thinking that this is going to be this way. So I think the discussion will be useful, but I'm in support of this program and trying to figure out how to make sure that it can happen here in Lake County.
Bless you. Yeah, I just worry that if we just pass it, there's already been a tribal leader that reached out to me about tribal health having Indian health dollars and how now the tribes have to go and get, approval from a county function when it's a government to government relationship. It's just, there's a lot of that.
It puts a lot of work on us. It's definitely putting a lot of work on us.
Yeah. And we already know the capacity is tough enough.
So it sounds like we could do it on the 24th. That's 2 weeks.
I'm okay with that. If the 2 that aren't going to be here are okay with that, if need be, we can push it back.
Okay.
You got 2 thumbs up.
Right.
That gives 2 weeks for tribal outreach.
I would also say it also slightly depends, I guess, on how the conversation goes. If there's some controversy between how we're planning to move forward or if there's a smooth road ahead. I'm not saying that would tell me to vote no, but I think I would rather figure out how to solve what the controversy is and figure out how to get on common ground rather than push something through. So I think it depends how the conversation goes.
Yeah, so we can check that and try. If it doesn't work, we can move it further out.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll do that.
All right? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, well, hang on, I got to open it to public, right?
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Is there anybody in the room? No hands, and no hands in the room or online. I bring it back to the board, and I think we have consensus. So we'll conclude this item. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I do need to go back to our 10 a.m. Item 8. And was there any report out of closed session? Supervisor Pyska?
Sorry. No action taken.
Okay, no action out of closed session. That item is now officially closed. And I'm going to move on to, I believe this is our last item, which is supervisor reports. Is that correct? We have nothing else missing.
That is correct.
Okay, who would like to start?
I will forego my report for today since we've lost everybody and it's 5 p.m.
Okay, anybody else?
I can go ahead and start. So tomorrow I believe I have the animal control oversight. On Thursday, I'm going to be working on some energy policy prior to our ad hoc meeting on Friday, as well as Coast Guard Station. I've got some work to do on that. I'm hoping on Friday, along with the ad hoc committee, I'd like to get into a county tour for one of the agencies here, one of the departments. And I think that's it until the weekend.
Thank you.
Oh, nope, I have math on Thursday night. It was just down for the 12th math meeting.
Thank you. Go to Supervisor Crandall. Did you have anything today?
I'm going to forego it.
Forego?
Yeah.
Supervisor Pyska?
Sure, why not? Let's see, tomorrow I have a meeting with the other home hardening pilots, NCO monthly check-in. Our BVAC meeting, I think, is getting canceled, but I haven't seen a notice go out yet, so
Nor have I.
we need to follow up on
We need to
that.
follow up.
So it was a posting issue. Space Committee meeting Thursday morning, Fire Safe Council meeting, agenda review, resilient communities. I think our rec agency is not happening as regularly scheduled because it's going to happen at the end of the month.
Okay.
Do you remember that?
I don't have it down as this week, so.
It's on my recurring, but I think we pushed it for the stakeholder meeting that we'll have at the end of the month. Friday, I don't think we're doing feeding partner meetings anymore, are we? They're just still on our calendar. Okay. Then we have an ad hoc energy committee meeting. I have a meeting with CSAC ANR chairs and staff. And then lots next week, and we'll see how everything shakes out.
And the only thing, I'll forego most of this, I'll just mention we have a Lake APC tomorrow down in Clear Lake. And I'll leave the rest of it. She have her hand up? About, well, we have, none of the items are open, so
Who is it?
Betsy Kahn. You send us an email, Betsy, if you have a concern, but all the items are closed. I'm not sure when your hand went up. We just noticed that. But maybe send me a message. And I'll go ahead and close the meeting.